What's up, everybody? This is Carrick with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny for the Best Gaming Podcast. And it is number 585, could be 84, because of the side podcasts. I've sort of lost count, but 584 and a half or 5. We'll call it that.
Ballpark.
Yeah, ballpark. Local Carrick time. There's actually been a lot of news. There was Saros, got its reviews. Pragmato's doing well. Did you see all the sales, man? Like, there's been a bunch of sales news from different companies doing well, too, all week.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it's, I think you posted Capcom. Did some, like...
Yeah, theirs is crazy.
Yeah, listen to this. Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, 8 million. Resident Evil Requiem, short amount of time for this, 7 million already. That's insane. 7 million. Man. It's weird, too, because, dude, isn't it? It's interesting right now because you have all the companies and all the gamers and all the developers disagreeing 100% with each other. You have people saying AAA will not do well anymore. We're seeing AAA doing really well. We're seeing people say the future's indie. We're seeing some massive indie failures, especially on the early access part where games are just going away. We're also seeing failures on the AAA. We're also seeing successes on the indie. And what does that tell you? What we've been saying all along. You cannot ascribe any pattern of success over time because the consumer's fickle. And there's 30 million of us, 60 million, 120 billion of us, 150,000
and it used to be
billion
that,
of us.
Used to be that, like, what matters is your game good, whether it's indie or AAA.
Right.
Usually will do well. But now with so much stuff being super saturated, a lot of stuff can go under the radar, or sometimes a good game cannot do well for other reasons, not connected to the game.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's crazy. It is absolutely nuts. We're also going to talk about, well, I mean, I think it's interesting, but we're going to talk about people are panicking over the Xbox thing. Like exclusives, no exclusives, blah, blah, blah. And we'll sort of debunk some of that kind of stuff. And I seriously do mean debunk this. Please listen, because this is actually important. I think that it'd be nice if we, right now, before the next gen consoles, if people sort of had a general underlying understanding of development so that when we move forward, we can just sort of all be in agreement in some stuff. And we'll talk about that as well. Let's see what else. We're going to talk about Black Flag. Desynced, as I like to call it now, because it's desynced completely from the future stuff or modern day stuff, which is so weird.
Yeah.
And they removed the DLC. An odd, well, you know, we'll get everybody. What's everybody's opinion on that, by the way? Thank you very much. Cool Alien Beanie. I appreciate it. I had 8 choices for the eyes on the beanie. I chose this one, and it happened to trigger my wife to the point of not wanting to look at me when I wear it. She doesn't like the eyes for some reason. And it has nothing to do with a racial thing. She is, you know, part Chinese, but it didn't have anything to do with like the eyes in that way. She just doesn't like the alien. I think it's a round on the edge and then the little white. I don't know, man, but I wore it and I came up to kiss her a couple days ago and she's like, what the fuck is that? And I was like, it's just a beanie, man. Dungeons and Dragons Neverwinter Nights. I want to talk about this. That thing has been a free MMO, freemium MMO for like 250 years. I'm pretty sure there's cave paintings of it. And they just showed their 2026 roadmap and then Star Trek Online, which was way before I started the channel, just showed their new, their new sort of track for what they're doing. Dude, it's crazy how long some games last, man. It's absolutely nuts.
So are they revamping?
They don't really revamp. They
somehow?
Just not really. They just they show
They're trucking.
Yeah, they're like Hunter Call of the Wild. They show that if you have a good game and you have people who are engaged in it, and this is what Xbox just talked about a couple days ago, and we'll mention that too, that their sales day one, that's going to matter. Obviously, it always matter. But if somebody likes something, everybody's looking at the Roblox kind of situation where is there an ecosystem where you can build inside of it and offer somebody something for a thing they already own? Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox. Make no mistake, man, the pattern's there. The 3 biggest games really of all time, or 3 of the biggest games of all time, including GTA, which allows role-playing, are games that come out and then offer things inside of them that are an extension of their thing. It's not just a new mode. It's like it's like mini universe.
Yeah.
Hey, here we go with science.
It's
like
a framework.
It's like mini universes popping up in the quantum field, right? Like
Yeah.
just boop, and then, sometimes goes away. So yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
stuff
it's cool
like ESO Online feels like that, because every DLC is a new area.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like SnowRunner for that reason as well. Every new content every new DLC is like a whole new area. It's got like some new vehicles that are thematic to it. It's got like its own thing.
I guess that is halfway there. I was going to say that's just DLC, but now I get what you're saying. Yeah, I guess that is halfway to what I'm talking about. Yeah, where they're... I'm talking about, let's say they did this. I was going to say a tractor pull or tug of war, but that wouldn't even be what I'm saying. But if SnowRunner decided to, like... I don't know how they would do this, but if they decided to do something that's not even cars in it, like skiers doing cross-country skiing, that would be sort of what I'm talking about, where they like twist everything and put you in this alternative space, like Fortnite and Lego. You look at Fortnite, and if you had told me Fortnite was going to have a Lego mode that eclipsed some Lego games, I'd be like, what are you talking about? That doesn't even make, like, how?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Those are much more plot twists.
Were you old enough to play PlayStation Home? That weird MMO, like, OS?
I don't think so.
Okay. Because PlayStation tried this years ago, and so did Xbox, where they had their own, like, mini universe, and you walked around and, like, you looked. And I think they're realizing off of the game first. So Home was it first, not the game. And so people were like, why would I launch the game from a hub? Why wouldn't I just go into the OS and launch the game? Why would I walk to my fake TV to launch the game that opens up in my real TV? That doesn't make any sense. But instead, they're sort of flipping it. And yeah, it's awesome, man. Yeah, we'll talk about all that. Johnny threw down, though, that Capcom... What was Capcom's...
They had a figure of 300 million revenue from Steam in 2026.
2026 already?
Yep.
Hot damn, dude. 300 million.
Yeah, that's
across
doing crazy.
100 years is a lot for like a person, I'm just saying, but I mean, like 300 million, that's nuts.
Yeah.
So
they're doing all right.
Evil, Pragmata,
yeah,
Resident Evil.
I think I saw Resident Evil was 45% of that.
Oh wow,
which is pretty huge.
That's huge. Yeah, that's huge, man. Well, good on them. They're doing okay. Not out of the woods yet. It's Capcom, the scrappy, go lucky little tiny itsy bitsy baby developer. Always trying to make sure that they can get everything, really optimized, barely there. Not a lot of successes on Capcom's library. So, I'm rooting for him as the underdog. I mean, dude, Capcom's fucking underdog in like 30 years.
Underdog.
By the way, what did we say? Expect other companies to do exactly what they're doing. And what do we see? You mean, dude, you look at Ubisoft. They're starting to look at the successes of Capcom, and ain't nothing wrong with it. I don't love it, but it's obviously working. And you start to see companies looking at what, basically Resident Evil Remake, then maybe a new Resident Evil side thing, then a Resident Evil remake of some kind or a remaster. You know what I mean? Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And do them well, right? Do them well. Debate says, I have a real gamer question. Do you think we see Onimusha Way of the Sword this year? I have no clue. That's a good question. Yeah, you know what? I have no clue. Carrick, what's your favorite monster drink? This is called Ultra Peachy Keen, and it is by far my fave. I don't know where this has been all my life. I was drinking the white shit that's like cranberry, brain cancer a little bit. It didn't taste great, but it did the job. This is the first time where I've had to actively stop myself from drinking them, where they're not a pop. I'm like, dude, I got to step back and like make sure I don't just chug those things.
Step away from that.
Yeah, man, that's too much caffeine for any. Well, maybe not too much, but let's talk about Saros. So, Carrick, where's your review? Let's get this out of the way. I like the game. It is very loopy. Very, very, very repetitive. More so even with the changed levels than I felt Returnal was, and I was struggling with interest while still enjoying the game. I was also behind by about 4 days due to the technical issues last week. So a couple days ago, I looked and I was like, I'm not going to be able to get through this, I don't think, with editing time and all that stuff. So it's like, what am I going to do? And I decided to just not stress it. This is the first time it's ever happened in the history of the channel where I've just decided to not try to force through something. And I don't mean forces in the game, but like the time frame. Because I like the game. So Saros is weird, Johnny. Like, Returnal's harder for the most part.
Oh, you think so? Gameplay wise?
I think Returnal felt harder. Yeah. But this game has some weird stuff. For example, it's got a shield, which is really cool. Shield comes up just like, what is that? Igasaki. No, there's a game for the Dreamcast where if you have the right color shield and the right color bullet hits you, it doesn't do damage. I can't remember what that game was, but there's 3 or 4 of them.
Sure.
So it's like that. The problem is the shield only turns on. Well, later you can do some stuff, but the shield only turns on after you do basically an up-close attack, and then you hold it. So there's a delay to the shield that I just cannot describe to you how much it threw me off for the first day of playing that game. I was searching. I was like, I must be hitting something wrong because I just don't understand why the shield takes, this, like, why doesn't it just trigger them if I hold down? Why, like there's an oddity to it. But basically, if you put the shield on, blue energy hits the shield and grows it and doesn't hurt you. Red or yellow, corrupted, basically sticks on the outside and it can corrupt you and it lowers your resistance to damage. Basically, it stops you from being able to regenerate, you would say, to a certain amount. So it's stuff we've seen before. The thing that pops up in this is they alternate the world every time you die. So they slightly adjust it. Listen, I don't know if I've been playing games too long, but slightly adjusting it was not working for me. It was like I was picking, I don't know if I was just not, it didn't grab me because the story ain't great. You're seeing that in a lot of reviews where people like, dude, don't play this for the story. It's like not as good as Returnal's most likely. And I would say that the mystery of Returnal kept me going like, what is going on? Where in this, that would have been a frustrated inflection of like, what is going on? It was just each time it pops up, they're like, oh, look, you now go down on this edge instead of over here. And I'm like, oh, look, it's still the same fucking thing. And that's not even a complaint towards the game. The game's made that way. It's fun to play. But yeah, after a while, I was just like, man, I need a little bit more time to sort of like gel with it, I guess. But you can see it's good.
You didn't think the story was too interesting? I've been hearing a lot about the protagonist, where like he has a very cool presence and maybe a character arc and stuff.
It's okay.
Did you enjoy?
I would. It's
his part.
Not as much as Returnal, no. But that's neither here nor there in the long run, because by the time you get done, it might be better.
Sure.
But like the presentation, there's not as much mystery. You know how in Returnal you'd be walking a fucking house in the middle of a space alien planet? There'd be like an old colonial house, and you'd be like, dude, what's going on?
Makes you wonder.
I said colonial, but I meant like an old town. Yeah, it makes you wonder, right?
Yeah, almost like Lovecraftian kind of thing.
Yes.
This one's unexplained.
This one's got the Lovecraftian, but it doesn't do the best job solidifying that the normal can inject into the abnormal, which is what is so scary about like elder gods sometimes. So yeah, it was just it's an interesting game and I like it. It's getting really good reviews. 89% average now. A lot of people seem to like it. A lot of people are saying that they weren't insanely impressed by the story, but that's fine. I think most of us, Returnal's story wasn't the greatest. It just pulled me forward a little bit, and it will take up the reins when the loop playback pops up, and there is a lot of looping in it. So I could see why some people might feel that.
Did you find that
seeing good reviews?
Because they said, and the reviews say that they iterated on the repetition, on the loops, to make them less. Some people said like less painful, or that at least it feels like you're progressing more.
You definitely feel like you're progressing, not through the world. That's loopy and you can see it unless you just put blinders on. But your progression is way better in this. So basically what happens is you get money. We'll call it money. It's not, but you basically get money. When you die, you go back and you can outfit your armor and your skills, or not your armor. Sorry. You can upgrade your skills, and you can get some really cool skills later on. You do have to defeat bosses to unlock these nexus is what they're called. And then you unlock those, and then you can add some skills, which is pretty cool. They start out cheap, $50, $50, $100, 200. And then when the big ones unlock, it's like 2,000. And that's sort of a shock. So people should be prepared, because they might die and only have $200 after a death. And when you see 2,000, you're like, 10 times? Are you kidding me? But there's also ways to upgrade a skill that drops more resources from enemies too. So, but then you won't have more power or whatever. The guns are like Returnal, where the higher the level of your sort of base character, the higher the gun will be. So you start out with level 1, you're like, this is sort of podunkish. Then when you start going up in levels, they start adding unique abilities to the weapons. And I never really found a weapon I didn't like. There's nothing surprising. Nothing will make you go, this weapon is unlike anything or whatever. And in fact, I would say the weapon in their overarching cool factor was much higher in Returnal. However, in this game, you feel like you can hit enemies and do damage. Because I don't know if you remember Returnal, especially at the start, and you're like, what the hell, man? I'm just not, it just feels like I'm running all the time. And that doesn't happen in this at all. I would say they did a great job in making it easier for people to come in. For sure. So
it feels like you're actually killing stuff. You're more effective, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you are, and technically you can bone break this one pretty easy, meaning you can just you can purposely die if you want. And so if you see that you've got a certain amount of resources, if you want, you could just purposely die, go back, +1, buy your skills, outfit yourself, and go back out. Yeah. And you'll be able to defeat the Nexus boss or the bosses fairly easily, or much more easily than if you just run out the very first time.
You can also restart close to the boss, right? I think I heard that.
It's sort of like that. That is definitely somewhat of a spoiler, but there are not what you said, but continue. But there are ways to get closer. Yeah, for sure. However, there's some reasons why you may not want to do that, including gathering resources. So we'll just say that.
I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine if you start there, then it's harder because you haven't accumulated.
Yeah, you haven't accumulated
power-ups
anything.
or whatever.
And there are these attribute drops in the game world that you probably will want. So when you're running around, you'll get... So there's two types. There's Eclipse types and non-Eclipse types. Eclipse are corrupted stuff. So they there's always a negative. So it'll say like +5 to power. And you're like, oh, wow, that's cool. And it's like does majorly less damage when you're standing still. Well, I rarely stand still in those games. So that one I aimed for. I was like, oh, yeah, I definitely want that. But then other ones would be like occasionally just go. I can't even remember what it was, but on every reload, there's a chance of the gun sticking, I think, or getting jammed.
Oh, God.
I was like, well, fuck that. Like that. Because you got the world's shittiest, like little up close. I'm like, dude, I ain't messing with that. And those drop in the game world, and they can definitely augment your character to where when you're fighting the character, you're also going up in these basically your ability to get higher and higher weapons. So just spawning back at the bosses or close to them, or taking a shorter, because you sort of identify the world and where to go, may not be the best bet. That's the other thing, is because of the way it's done and the repetition, they have to lead you back in some way, and there's a checkpoint system, so you can't get lost. You just hold down, boom, flag pops up, closest way to the boss is right there. I didn't even need that. By the third death in the entire game, I was like, I can tell where the boss is going to be. I don't know if that's not a negative. I don't know why. I just knew. I was like, I'm sure that Like that's for sure where the boss will be. And over time, being able to run to him is pretty easy. Yeah. But I think you should decide to probably not do that. Some people were saying that some folks gave it a lower score than they thought. I think don't be surprised. It's a game. It's a game, guys. I think if you see a 7 or maybe a 6 or 7 would be a little, I would want to read that one. But I think if somebody gives it a 7 out of 10 or higher, just with my brain, what I'm thinking of what I experienced, I think those are pretty defensible. And I mean defensible, not that we're all correct and they're wrong. I just mean,
yeah,
I can see that experience being that thing.
IGN gave them a 7. It's kind of higher across the board, but yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, a 7, you just have to talk about it and figure out what the context is of that 7. And, it could be story. It could be what I did feel that it had no mystery or the mystery was not as interesting as Returnal. And then the main character just wasn't as interesting, which is weird because I thought he would be. Like the voice acting, good voice acting. Dude, I got to tell you something off camera, though, that is hilarious. Remind me to tell you something about a character and what they look like and a mistake that popped up. Just absolutely sent me roaring. But I'll tell you outside of the podcast. It's funny.
So it didn't really grab you? The story?
It did. Oh, the character? Story? Not so much. Yeah.
Yeah,
but gameplay was
But the
good.
game overall?
Yeah.
Good, good, fun, solid fun factor.
I will say this for anybody looking to get it. If, I didn't see anything that would make me say it wasn't worth getting at its price if you like these kind of games. And if the difficulty of Returnal bothered you, but you're okay with that repetitive thing that can pop up, then this is going to be better. It will be better for you. It is easier. It never was nut crunching, ever. It doesn't even feel like that kind of game. And I don't know how to describe it. You'd have to play it. I just felt like I died way less. And
is it the shield maybe? Because
no,
with the shield now, you kind of have to walk into bullets in a weird way. Part of the gameplay now.
No, too quick. Man, I don't know. No. You know what it is, bro? In Returnal, sometimes there were just a lot of fucking bad guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
true.
In this, there's a lot of bullets. And I find it intrinsically easier to dodge a bullet when I know the trajectory is a straight line. Even if it's a needler and it's going around a corner,
yeah,
you
or
sort of know.
They're all kind of
right. Where a
parsable.
boss can be everywhere. I will say there's some flying bosses in this game where I'll be defeating a boss and I'll be like, uh-oh. And it was instinctual. I would dodge. Even if I defeated everybody, I'd dodge. And inevitably behind me, I would hear bullets hitting the ground. I'd be like, that son of a bitch. I don't know if it was a spawning system or what, but it was happening after so many battles where I'd be like, bah, 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 bah. And I would dodge out of the way and those bullets would hit every time. And so after a while, I was like, okay, they've got a system in place, or these flying characters are always up there. You always got to watch out. And I like that. I think that's fair. I think that's, once you understand that's happening, it just keeps you on your toes. IGN found it overly repetitive and the story's message hollow. So, yeah, that's fair. I mean, the story's message, I don't know what that might mean to them, but I can definitely say overly repetitive, I think, will pop up more than we saw in Returnal. So I find that to be a fair thought process. Christopher says, I saw a YouTuber saying the story is sort of like the TV show Lost. Strange logic. Oh, you mean like polar bears on a jungle? Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Sort of makes sense. Let's see. I'm going to read a couple questions here. We got some, I'm just calling them super chats, but these are from Telegram as well as Discord folks who gave us some cash to answer some of their more driving, intriguing questions that they had. So let me grab, I'm not going to read a bunch. We're going to hit a couple of these. Oh, okay, here we go. Sort of Saros, sort of. Why, who is this? 21 Slapster says, why do so many, thank you for the super chat, by the way, $50 super chat. Thank you very much. Why do so many sci-fi games lean on mystery instead of actually explaining their worlds? Are devs afraid of committing to concrete lore? Damn. Dude, you guys with the questions, nothing against YouTube or Twitter, because you guys do good questions too, but something about those guys and their thought processes are very not attacky. Mm-hmm. They're just sort of like very intriguing.
Reminds me of that mist argument. They used to say that devs put mist in the distance so they can hide stuff.
Yeah, to hide pop-in. Yeah, that's a real thing, by the way. Yeah, for sure. Highlanders Grim sent the best ACG gaming podcast membership to somebody. Thank you very much. You rock. Appreciate it. It went to Venister. Why do they use damn, I mean,
we like mystery for sure as humans.
We
right?
do.
That is a thing.
We do, but admittedly, maybe established lore is just harder. Well, it's harder to have established lore in a game. But it's harder to carry a game forward if you don't have it. But I agree with this, that like there's always a click or a trick in sci-fi games lately. Like there, whether it be Elder Scrolls or Elder Gods kind of thing. Elder Scrolls would be amazing. You're playing like Returnal or whatever, and some dude from Skyrim shows up. Be like, what the fuck? No, but yeah, I get what they're saying. That like it does seem like a lot of games in sci-fi kind of stuff sort of hinge on some trick, or some like.
And
thing.
Especially this reminds me of the Souls genre.
Yeah,
where we have all these smaller titles and like budget titles in there. They don't have a budget to have like voice acting and like actual story and stuff, and they kind of hinge on that Dark Souls storytelling through descriptions and stuff in order to be able to still tell a story, but with minimal budget, which I think is both like a good thing and a bad thing, because insofar as that works, they can get away with that at a low cost, whereas otherwise maybe they just wouldn't be able to create that. But on the other hand, I think sometimes that is a bit of a crutch.
Yeah, me too.
And to me, those games, as much as I like those games, Dark Souls, Elden Ring, they would just flatly be better games if the story was more fleshed out, as opposed to relying on you reading every item description. Even as a fan, I can say that, and I appreciate that others disagree with me on that, but I think it's not... It's a decision, right? You have to make. Some people will like it, some people will dislike it, but I think quite obviously it is a cost saving in a sense. And a bit of a double whammy, because you save cost and you generate, if you do it well, you generate some cool mystery that's also added value. So in a way, it's a harder proposition for you to go for the fully fleshed out description of stuff rather than leave it up in the air a bit more.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. I think I think with the amount of games we have, true just total games, it's noticeable now more than it just being the one-off every couple years. Now it's one-off every year. Also, I would say that they could spend 20 hours doing cutscenes in Elden Ring, and you would still be able to have a shit ton of mystery, to the point of being a shit ton of mystery. So being able to tell your story better would be a better game, would be a more enjoyable game, and it would be a more outreachy game, and you would still be able to hold all the mystery that game holds already.
Yeah.
You would. So yeah, I agree with you. And I think it would be very hard to argue, unless you're just a person who likes a jigsaw puzzle with every fourth piece missing, which that is, that's more about the person just liking quirky than it is about like a product that you can still do everything that you want to do, but at the same time also have more of a fleshed out way in which you present things. But at the same time, you're not really risking mystery or mystique, because you could spend 50 hours explaining Elden Ring and you wouldn't be 1/100th of a thousandth of the way through. if you just wanted to continue to create fiction, because you could. So it's an unlimited bucket. Good question. Damn, really good question. Let's see. This is from Spreadshit. I know where that came from. Spreadshit. At what point do $5 super chat? At what point do low concurrent players actually matter? Is there a threshold where a game is basically statistically dead? I think it does matter for the size, but it does seem like, what would you say? So at times I'll see DC Universe sub 1,000 on Steam, but then they have the Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation, right? So let's say it's 1,000 for each. That's 4,000 concurrent players. Now you're looking at something that is viable for a small development team or maybe a part of your development team to continue doing work. What do you think? Let's say a game's just on Steam. I'm going to let this dog out real quick. Let's say a game is just on Steam. What do you think is a number for a AA or AAA game where you start worrying about like concurrent players? I guess it also matters on the genre a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if there is a particular number I would look at. And I'm curious if longevity is something they worry about. For example, people are still playing games like SnowRunner and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then other games do fall off.
Right.
And maybe that's normal.
Right.
For more like story-heavy games where most people who are going to play, just think of a story-heavy game that may have come out.
Right.
I'm kind of blanking, but picture anything in your mind, and that game naturally will fall off because a large percentage of people who will play that game will then be done, right? And moved on to other games.
Yeah.
So I think like part of that is natural, the falling off. I don't know if there is a number.
I guess it's just all up to each game.
It's all relative, right? I think like we say sometimes, you know it when you see it. You kind of know when it's bad.
It's the
right?
porn of concurrent players.
Because it's
you know it when you see it. Yeah.
Because it's relative to the team size or the project size. Like for a game like Requiem, I'm sure they were expecting some really good concurrent numbers. Resident Evil, that is. And if they saw a small amount, that would have been a bad signal for them. But then you take a smaller game, I'm sure the expectation just is completely different.
And you know what's weird about that is recently, and I'm drawing a blank on the game, but recently in the last 3 months, I've seen 3 or 4 games where their concurrents were low, but their purchases were very high. So people were buying and not playing for whatever reason, but they were purchasing. So that matters too. Like a game like Requiem, I guess you would care more about the total player buy than you would the concurrent, because what's concurrent mean on a single player based game? Nothing.
Yeah.
Fallout 4 saw a huge jump in concurrent players because of Amazon, but one of the and it sold well, but let's say it hadn't sold well, concurrent wouldn't matter. You'd be like, great, concurrent went up, but those people didn't buy the new game, or they didn't buy the game again, or they didn't buy it for a new platform, or they weren't customers who hadn't bought it. So it's just people returning to it because the theme is interesting today, for whatever reason.
Yes.
So yeah, there's so many caveats, man. So many caveats to that.
Yeah. Games that rely on community are way more relevant in that, right?
Susceptible to it as well.
Yeah, maybe it's because they're going to continuously release new DLC and they want people to stay engaged, stay interested. Maybe it's an online game. That would just be a different case. But even a single player game, you could play SnowRunner single player, but they still want you to stay engaged.
Do you know what's so weird though too? Because we'll see a game like SnowRunner be on its 30th season or whatever. You'll be like, or Mud
18th,
Runners,
crazy.
18th, right?
Yeah.
And they're releasing like a car or whatever, and you're all okay. So is this just 2 people at the company? And what's the purchase rate where that makes sense? I mean, it must make sense. What I'm saying is, and then there's also probably something that we can never, ever, and this is always vital to me. I love it. It's a consumerism psychology that is enticing as fuck. How many times do you continue to support a game, not because the game is doing well or you want it to do well, but because you want to continually, slightly be in the zeitgeist for your next game? Like, do you release stuff for Mud Runners, right? Do you release stuff for European Truck Simulator, which we know they do, but you get my drift. Do we release something do we worry about the pay that this developer is getting that maybe isn't equal to the total sales of DLC, but it doesn't matter because it's a type of PR so that you can say a couple things that Ubisoft gets talked about a lot. They always support their games for a great deal of time, even if the game is, and it is true. It's like we may have our complaints, but like how much of that is a developer saying, you know what, it makes sense financially for us to keep a couple people in the mix. It's like, let's get Billy and Jody, who aren't the greatest, but let's throw some trucks in there. They're going to be doing some skins. We'll call it a new season. Billy and Jody. I'm just saying they're best friends.
Okay, that's not fair though.
At the same time.
The new maps are amazing, man.
Well, the new maps is definitely not what I'm talking about. New maps is definitely well beyond what I'm talking about, for sure.
Okay, I get what you mean, because they do the 2-truck DLC for $5.
Look at Hunter Call of the Wild. They'll be like, here's a new 300 Winchester Magnum. I'm like, new? That gun is fucking like 70 years old. I've got 2 of them. Like, what are we talking about? But then
or Space Marine, new shoulders,
Well, that's newer. But yeah, I mean, I'm talking Hunter Call of the Wild, which is 10, 15 years old or whatever now. 10 years probably, a decade, I guess. Yeah, a decade. So you look at those games and you're like, dude, they're releasing a Coleman tent that's orange. But then they release an entire hunting ground that's like 600 square miles. And you're like, all right. So yeah, I agree with you. It depends on the game for sure. But like SnowRunners and Hunter, they're both very mini big kind of release schedules. Like, here's a tent pole. Here's some new grass. Here's a new way in which we do waves. Boom. Here's a
whole new map.
Here's a whole new map. And you're like, dang.
Yeah.
So I like that. Debate, Nate. What do you think about good games being slept on, like Toxic Commando? I think it's the best co-op zombie game in a while. I mean, I don't know what that means, really, like, because I don't know how many co-op zombie games have been coming out in the last couple months, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that would be like me saying I'm your favorite Brazilian software engineer.
Yeah, no shit. That filter
music
small.
Fan person. Yeah.
That filter's this big. Dude, you're just clicking tags in your search filter until it gets to Johnny.
Yeah.
And Johnny's just standing there going, I'm number 1. That's what I do.
Top.
Yeah, top. That's me. Mud Runner was my nickname back in college. Yeah, but I think for a different reason. Just so,
Damn.
Just saying. Legend says Jay is still looking for that deer in Call of the Wild. One of the best times in our Discord, man. One of the best times ever. Nobody had played it. They had seen my streams, and one day I was playing it, and we had like 15 people playing Call of the Wild for weeks at a time. And we watched Jay try to get a single deer for like 6 hours.
Wow.
It was amazing. It was one of the greatest times I've ever had in gaming. It was true couch co-op because everybody was watching. You can tell when somebody likes to be watched too. I mean, it sounds weird. I like to watch. Well, he likes to be watched. You can tell if he reacts if you react. Otherwise, he just sort of shuts off. So people were watching him at that time, and he was engaging with it, and he was having a good time. We were all just watching, and I realized 6 hours in, that fucker still hadn't shot a deer.
Wow.
There was no success at all. Or maybe, no, there was the time, sorry, Rogero's talking about the time where he shot a deer and couldn't find it. And then he felt bad. A true game makes you feel, guys. A true game makes you feel and worry. What did we split off? Oh, this was all about sales. Yeah. So what's up, Gaz? Hope you are doing well, sir. Hope everything's going good for you. I just saw him pop up in chat. What's Absy been up to? Talked to him yesterday. Absy was married life, man. He's got, a full-time job doing his thing. Played a bunch of Crimson Desert, but then I noticed with him, he'll say he'll be playing Crimson Desert, and I'll go in and be on Steam and look at his profile, and he's all over the place. So he's always been sort of, you know,
he's like Slay the Spire too, you know.
Yeah. It's
Other
like
side
you
games.
never quite know. But
For sure.
lately, the big discussion that we were all having was about Crimson Desert and stuff like that. But yeah, busy as hell. Even when I DM him or he DMs me, it'll be really weird hours. I think last week and the week prior, he jumped into chat at like 3 a.m. my time, which I believe is the starting of his workday, his time. So
Yeah.
all day is the starting of somebody's workday, though. Let's see. We'll move on from there. So anyway, business sales doing well for a lot of games. Happy for them. Rated RKJ says playing Mud Runner and listening to you guys right now. Okay. Well, look at that.
Man, Mud Runner. Okay.
It does sound like a suspicious username. Just saying.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, the more you think about it.
It does sound highly suspicious, yeah. Let's see. What else have we got? Looking on our list here. Oh, let me bring up. Can you bring up Discord and go down? I popped a couple in there. I'm going to look at my list here. I want to talk about something while he looks for that. I did find this interesting. Mark Dura, who's a developer for BioWare, ex-developer for BioWare, worked on a ton of their big games, mentioned what we've... Let's see, the first time I mentioned Steve in a work meeting, I think was 9 years ago when Steve from... from our Discord, who was a developer, was popping in, and he was always the no man. We were talking about, that person who doesn't know exactly what they're talking about, having them in a meeting and having that be actually quite useful for them to ask questions about stuff. And there was a Mark, he did a podcast about, I think 2 weeks ago, where he was talking about the exact same thing. He titled it clickbaity because he's a smaller channel. It was something like the village idiot goes to a meeting or something like that. So it wasn't really what he was talking about. It was a little bit, but what he was talking about was really just the idea of having somebody in a meeting at a game developer when they're making a game, asking the questions that a person who doesn't follow your game perfectly will ask, and how useful that is. And I thought it was really cool to see an actual developer talk about it, because I've talked about it our joke is that there's always a Steve that needs to be in a meeting, and sort of he was saying the same thing and how useful that was. And I haven't heard anybody from BioWare talk about that in the past, so it was cool to see somebody say that happened, and he was that guy. He said sometimes he was the Steve showing up, just asking random questions to sort of keep the developers on their toes and thinking. We talk about with QA, sometimes QA, if you just listen to them, you'll forget that a normal gamer hasn't seen your game 100 times. And you'll be like, I don't understand. Why is nobody getting it? It's like, because, dude, you're singing the same song, the same people, they know the words. You got to, you got to get out. You got to sit on the street corner.
You need a fresh perspective sometimes if you're too close to it.
Yeah, you got to Justin Bieber it, man. You got to go out, put a piece of cardboard down, sing your song out on the corner and see if somebody likes it or not. Otherwise, bunch of yes men. I thought that was cool. What else we got in the list of newsy news?
You posted this article about Samsung and unions.
Dude. Yeah. So the RAM, we'll just talk about this shortly, but it's basically about the RAM shortage stuff. Samsung had 2 union strikes at the same time, and I think cut them down 51%. I could be wrong on that percentage, but basically hammered them right now for, continuing on making RAM and getting RAM into our devices so we don't have to pay an arm and a leg. It's like, I guess I'm just saying, no matter how far ahead we think we are, something always, comes up to fuck it up. It's like companies are like, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this, and then this pops up and you're like, damn it. So I just found that interesting that, one more thing is like coming up, has nothing to do with tariffs or whatever. Certainly nothing against them striking. And now we're stuck one more time. The union's demands are insane, though. I haven't got a chance to look at them. Union demands, I got to tell you, though, yeah, I'm for them. But damn, I've also seen the demands at times, and I'm like, fuck, this just makes no sense.
Is it because just bargaining? They go high because they know the counter offer is going to be
It depends
You
on
know what I
where
mean?
you are and what nation and stuff. But yeah, a lot of times it's that. But a lot of times it's because they know they've got you over a barrel. I've been on both sides, and
But
it's
by the
by the
cojones.
cojones. Yeah. And remember, I mean, technically, a union. I mean, despite what anybody wants to say, a union's a company, and they're trying to get their own money too. I mean, that's why union dues. Anybody who isn't a union will mostly tell you they'll be like, it's just another tax that they're like, we're gonna help you, or they'll be like, oh no, you can't get fired if you're in a union. Fuck that, man. I mean, I'm seeing it firsthand. Like, that's bullshit. It's just bullshit, man. Like, but they'll sell you on it. If you ever talk to somebody, they'll sell you on it. Some are better than others, obviously. But you'll get some that you're just like, yeah, you are full of shit. But full of shit and fighting for you, even tangentially, is better than having nobody to fight for you. Right?
Yeah.
So
If that's the best you got.
Yeah. That's frankly,
Especially
that's
against Samsung. You know,
oh, dude,
you got to use whatever leverage.
Samsung and their suicide nets that they used to have to put out outside of. Well, it wasn't. I should be clear. It wasn't them. It was. I think Famicom was the company that had this. But yeah. It's just one of those things, man. What else we got? How's your headache, by the way?
It's a lot better. Yeah, we were saying before the podcast, weird? Both Carrick and I, we got hit with a headache.
Oh, dude, man. And mine was that kind. I've got it a little bit, but I took some meds. But it is so weird that it goes away when we get in here and start fucking, start bantering back and forth. And suddenly you're like, my headache's gone. Sorry, maybe it's an antisocial headache. Maybe it's because I close myself off and I do my shit. And then Friday's your social day and your brain is so busy going, I want to talk to somebody. And then when we get in here, it's like, at least we like talking to each other. Lucason says, gotta go. Just popped in for a hello. So many good games to play. That is true. And I hope you have an amazing time playing them. And if you don't,
enjoy.
At least there's good games for other people, I guess. Anyway, what else do we got? Do we have any other news in there?
Okay, so the other thing you posted as well, they leaked Game Pass Starter Edition that includes Discord Nitro. It's like $9.99 monthly.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more like $15.99. But I wrote the things in there. It includes like a little bit of free Nitro points or some game awards in there. It'll include some games. I think Microsoft is definitely. We sort of know that they're definitely going to like, hey, let's figure out a way to allow people to sort of pick and choose versus us packaging. So think about it like this: Disney, Hulu, Amazon used to do this with Freevee, but they don't anymore. You have all these companies that are like, we're going to split it to give you a false sense of consumer identity and consumer purchasability, but you're only really going to want one, right? We've seen that. We know it, right? You know it.
Yeah.
That's the prostitute saying it's $50 for a sandpaper hand job and it's $400 for the girlfriend experience. And you're like, dude, nobody's going to choose. Well, I mean, not nobody. Most people are not going to choose the super cheap option. That's what the companies do. Microsoft, one of the few companies that can do this, appears to be looking at more of a you pick and choose exactly what you want. Whether you like Game Pass or not, whether you like Microsoft or not, that is a positive for gamers, and I want other companies to do it. I want other companies to do it also with streaming. Because I've been forced into the no ads, but really ads, even though you're paying for no ads, but we're going to fuck you with ads, ad tier.
Oh,
and you're just like, what?
Sucks.
I thought I paid for no ads. And like, well, you did, but it's now an additional $2.99 for no ads. And I'm like, no, I paid for, it's literally, I've got the paperwork. It says no ads right here. And they're like, yeah, that's true, but not anymore. So to see this choice thing pop up, and maybe other companies like the old days when Comcast would give you a Dreamcast if you had a year of Comcast, or they give you an Xbox. These other companies also offering deals. I hope it's not too confusing for people, because I think that's the one thing that could happen is like if everybody's offering deals, right? You'd be like, what the fuck? But hidden in this, and I'm telling you guys, this is the most interesting stuff Johnny and I are always talking about. Don't even worry about what the major little bullet points are. Look at the other ones, and you'll be able to see where a company's going. And what's one of the first things that popped into like my brain was cloud and the improvements to cloud. It's been in every one of their stuff, every one of their announcements that they're like trying to push bit rate, trying to improve latency. And while this is not for everybody, it is for some people. It's for a person who's traveling, who doesn't want to switch, but has an Android device and maybe just wants to play a little game here or there. Or if you want to play to your house and you have a good connection. It's more options, but it also indicates, if you look closely, where they're going. And I think that that's awesome too. And I also think it's just awesome because a side effect of that is that all bitrate goes up most of the time if you're trying to improve somewhere else. So if you're trying to improve there, Xbox Live would just go up. Maybe you'll get better bitrate in your voice parties. Everything has to sort of be commensurate, because you don't just upgrade one little slice, especially for cloud gaming, which is copies of your console. So I'm excited for that. I don't know. What do you think? Like, dude, is this too much for you? Like, if I came in and I'm like, okay, you have 750 choices, only 12 of them are through Xbox. But if you want, you can go to Costco, get your eyes checked once a year, and also get Xbox Live. Like,
yeah, you have these bundles. You randomly go to like Carrefour and you got a, you know?
Yeah. No, that's
Game Pass bundle.
This is the Burma bundle. This is the Defer bundle. And you're like, what the fuck? But do you, like, I mean, I know you don't have it right now. I think you don't have it. Maybe you do.
I like the idea of consolidating two things into one subscription, especially things that are closely related like this, because if you're a gamer, there's a very good chance you're going to be on Discords, right?
Right.
So I think the overlap there is very clear. The joke was kind of hinting that if there's a disconnect between the two things, it becomes crazy.
Right.
Like, why am I getting a Game Pass membership with my moisturizer?
Right.
It makes no sense, right?
Makes no sense.
But yeah, if there's a connection there, I kind of like it. I like the idea also of the offerings staying commensurate, and then that, like, pushing one may also push the other in some way. That would be cool. And further integration and stuff like that. Because I think still you are unable to watch Discord on the Xbox. Like,
no,
watch
PlayStation,
streams.
you can't stream, but on Xbox you can watch streams. Yeah.
You can, but not like while playing a game, right? So you have to,
that would be a two-screen experience. Yeah, no, I don't. At least I don't.
Like picture-in-picture.
Think
that's
so.
not.
Yeah, they used to have it in the Xbox One original. They did have it. It was called Snap, and you could snap up a picture-in-picture, and you could stream and watch. You could do everything. But then Microsoft, and by the way, Sony, same way. It's just too much to ask for from a mobile Jaguar CPU when you're trying to get the best performance. You don't want to be the company that's like, hey, Crimson Desert performs 10% less, but you can also watch your friend stream it. And you're like,
because it's eating into your gameplay performance directly.
Yeah, even though they have media chips on there that are supposed to do it, nothing in the world, if you plug it into a motherboard, it has to get that data from one place to another. And consoles are right at the cusp of like a lighting on fire at all times, because everything is fucking everything, right? It's like, so. And then that's also money. You got to make sure your developers know how Snap works. Does it snap above? What if a company, let me give you an example. Let's say you're watching a stream, you go to the store, and that pop-up pops up. Consumerism 101 is that any company in the world is going to be pissed as fuck if their game's advertisement is on the right, covered up by your picture-in-picture. That'll be one of the first things a developer says, is like, don't you dare put us, and they'll have a term for it. They'll have a term for it, and it, obscured window. It depends on your software development. The stuff that I used to do, there'll be a term, but it's like, you cannot place blank under this. So then a developer says, "Fuck, man," or the developers at Xbox are like, "This is just too much to worry about."
Agreed.
So we're not going to have it. Yeah. Discord is a resource eater anyway. So listen to this. I won't dive in, but yeah. It is. And I'm doing some tests on Discord right now. I've got a fake version of Discord that isn't Discord. There's multiple front ends you can get for Discord that are not Discord. And I got to tell you, Discord and Electron, because it's a shit program, it actually has two Discords that pop up too. So if you're using the Canary version, you'll see Discord, and you'll be like, the fuck? Did it screw
Yep.
up? I spent like 2 hours trying to figure out why I was getting 2 copies, and then went and looked, and I was like, oh, that's normal for this. And they're both eating resources. And we're RAM thin now because of the cost. So yeah. Interesting, dude. I don't know. I don't want anything attached to Discord because I don't trust Discord will stick around. I trust them to stick around because of popularity, but I don't trust their ability. Discord's one of the worst companies for longevity I've ever seen. Every warning, if you look at investment, every warning from Discord is that they're going out of business. I'm not saying they are, but if you look at them, that company has changed tax 4 different times. In fact, somebody who's been on our podcast worked for them and was like, dude, they cannot, from one week to the next, they have no clue. Business owners, they had a store at one time. Do you remember that? They had their own store. Oh, yeah. Then they went away from that. Then they went to business. Then they went back to games. Yeah. Then they went to business, and now they're back to games. They cannot figure out where they want to be. And so attaching Game Pass to it, that's fine, but I wouldn't want any further,
Agreed.
We've joked about what if they took over Xbox game, game, what do you call it? Game chat or PlayStation game chat or whatever. And it's
party chat. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, that scares the shit out of me.
It's a dangerous proposition to tie yourself to another organization.
Yeah.
In that way, right? Because like you're saying, if they go a weird direction later, you're now inextricably like a part of that.
Yeah, you're linked to that shit hovel for the rest of your life. Like and you wouldn't want that. I mean, we didn't even do that at our job when we were like working with somebody close. You didn't really intrinsically tie yourself to them. What if they had a business problem? What if they got hacked? What if, there's a lot of reasons why you wouldn't want to just, dive in there. Eating resources, what we mean is it just takes a lot of, what do you call it? RAM and stuff when you start doing things on Discord, especially if you're trying to watch a show. Sorry, not a show. Trying to watch somebody stream. And you start to see just how many resources can get into watching a stream. If you pop in, pop out. This is MS positioning to acquire Discord. That'd be interesting to try to get it out of Sony's hands. I don't think it'll happen, but that would be very interesting to see how they're going to purchase.
That could happen, right? Similar to
Sling or whatever.
To what they try to do with
Kick,
Skype,
and Kick. Right? Kick was their streaming service.
Not Kick. It was.
Was it the? Oh, you're right. It's not Kick. They're the gambling one. It was the other one.
Yeah.
But where they bought it, Ninja was going to stream there for like a week, and then they closed it, and Ninja got 10 million anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
Ninja, smart. Yeah, I mean, they could. Sony's got an investment in them. I don't think Sony would be happy with that, obviously. Probably doesn't have any control over it, but it would be weird for Microsoft to go into that because you wouldn't want Discord to not be your Xbox game chat at that point, and that means you would have to tear out your game chat and replace it with Discord, which is a whole other app that's not even an integrate. Yeah. But maybe they just, I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? You've heard about all that shit with companies just buying not for the tech, but just the information too. People are information. So you buy Discord so that you have that purchase information from Discord.
Get access to the user base.
Yeah. Dodger says, God, yes, please. Not. I read this wrong, so I was good, but he said, God, yes, please, not more Discord integration. Using it as forums is already bad enough. So I love Discord's rat-a-tat-tat. It's my favorite thing in the world. They also have a forum section we use for moderators. I think you've seen it. We've got 1 or 2, in the entire 8 years we've been running. But like, you do have a forum setup you can set up, but overall, it's not a replacement for anything. It's its own thing. It's like sort of its own bailiwick. Let's see some other news. Let me look at Reddit here because I wanted to go down and look at how games have been doing really well. We've been seeing all of this kind of stuff, and we've been seeing companies sort of branch out, and then we see Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. So it looks better. I don't know what to think about it. Like, I guess you could say if you were already going to play Black Flag again, you're going to be excited because it'll look better. This is not derogatory towards the game. I'm literally saying that's one group who might purchase it. People who haven't played it, that's another group. People who didn't like the old style of Assassin's Creed, which, by the way, there are many. They would want to play it. It's been improved graphically a great deal, so people might want to play it for that reason. They have removed the modern story from it. They've like sort of tore that out, and they've also tore out the DLC. So it'll just be this thing, this Capcom style remake, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's what it is. So
Yeah. I mean, it looks great, you know, whatever engine they're using. I'm not sure if it's the same as the recent ones.
I'm sure it's the same as the recent ones. Yeah.
Yeah. It looks great. Appears to run great. Good recreation of the original. On the side-by-sides, you see it's like very faithful and stuff.
Yeah.
And the ship combat, well, over the years, we've had a lot that have iterated on it. So I think they have a good chance of creating something that builds on the original, but it's a lot more fun and more cool, more interesting.
It's weird because I mean, it'll be fun to play, but I feel like I think it stood the test of time, this comment. People can argue, but when Black Flag came out, it felt genuinely, in many ways, different. So did Rogue, even though Rogue was at a smaller scale. And then you see Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, and you're like, oh, that was a test bed for those. So I will be interested to see if people who don't like the new format and the new style, if they're going to get into it. Also, a lot of people have said, well, where's the assassin in Assassin's Creed? Well, now we're looking at a game that has purposely basically said that is, I mean, yes, there's stealth and they've improved it in ways, but they've definitely actionified it to the point of,
yes.
I mean, even the animations look like more of an arcade game or a slasher than any game prior. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying when you look at it, it'll be interesting to see who this lands with as Black Flag fans, who this lands with people who liked the originals or who like the new ones, people who wanted it to be more about assassins, people who wanted to further the story. A lot of shit's changed. I mean, if they remove the modern stuff, whether you like it or not, that does change. Now you are just a dude in a pirate game, right? And they've basically taken Shadow's Rifts thing and put it into this now. That's their sort of modern connection. But it'll be very interesting to see how it all comes together as a game and how different it feels. Because they've also put in new captains. They put in new storylines. So that's very interesting to see like how they're going to merge those together. Voice actors, are they coming back? I'm sure they are. You know, I don't know. What'd you think? Yeah. Other than the graphics, what'd you think about that kind of stuff? Like, does new captain
I think it's
stories...
really interesting because the idea of like taking the existing game,
right,
and merging it with this new philosophy they have of more, like you said, more arcadey, more action, pure action adventure compared to the stealth focus one.
Even though I do want to point out, just so nobody says anything to you, they have improved stealth. It's just that well, we'll have to see. Maybe this is the future, but it just, I mean, you look at the combat. On the combat, yeah. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, because the combat is, it's real time. It's not, well, sorry, it was already real time.
But what I mean is simulated slow thing that occurred, it's not there anymore. It's rapid.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It felt a little bit more like choreography, more like a cinematic kind of thing when you engaged in combat. And the recent titles have been more like action, right? So you got your light attack or heavy attack, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And those are kind of like more reactive inputs from the player. And you can kind of see that in the footage that it is like that. It is kind of falling flatly on the camp of these recent titles like Valhalla, like Shadows.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. For people who are diehard fans, will they like this new turn? I like this. I think I've liked the recent games more than the old ones overall.
Right.
Some
Yeah, I
exceptions
remember you
aside.
saying that. Yeah.
Some of like the really good ones in the past still stand out. But yeah, overall, I think is a winning idea because we've seen, despite some of the outrage at times, people buy the games and people play the crap out of these
Yeah.
recent
Yeah.
titles,
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
So I think the actions there speak more than some of the words we might see over and over in our circles.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to see, man, because I think the one thing you can prove is with a remake, you'll never please everybody. And with an Assassin's Creed remake, when you look at two distinct different time patterns and gameplay patterns, the originals versus Black Flag and forward, where things really started changing, even Syndicate is brought up a lot as definitely feeling like they're experimenting with the faster combat. And I got to tell you, this is one reason why I'm interested. I am not interesting, but I am interested in if it in any way can feel a little bit more like Syndicate. I am for Syndicate. Might have been a little too fast, but it was trying to get that sort of brusque, in your face, brutal, like a little bit of Sherlock Holmes, the movie kind of, that, with the canes and all that kind of stuff. So the idea that they can do that, yeah, it could be awesome, man. I mean, we'll just have to see. Like, I'm all for them trying this kind of stuff. They painted themselves not in a corner on purpose, but they have a lot of different people who dislike or like the games for vastly different reasons. You have people who say, I want to explore more of the future if it's good. I'm interested in that, but I like the sim style. And then other people are like, well, I like the fast and I like the future. And then other people are like, I hate the fast, but but I don't like the future. And you're just like, holy shit, there's 4x4 combinations there, minimum, of identifying even who might like the new style. That's why I think the graphics being this much better is a good selling point, because graphics matter. They did a good job. It doesn't look like a typical, it looks more like a Capcom style remake than it does old Ubisoft remasters.
And I would say as well, like, just the water technology has come such a long way. Like, it looks incredible. And we've seen some games that maybe look even better, but I'm just saying it's at a very high level now. So it's a lot more immersive for you to be in the ship, right? And like exploring, going to, like, the battles are a lot more detailed. So you can see in the footage where you're aiming and the cannonballs go on like specific spots on the enemy ship. You can see where they hit, where the impact was, what kind of damage came from that. That's very different than the binary, I either hit the ship or I didn't kind of thing. I'm not saying it was as simple as that, but
I get what you're saying, though.
It's come a long way where you can see like a lot of detail, and there's a lot more going on in those battles, I think.
What do you think about the idea that they basically listened to a bunch of influencers to make the game? Did you find? I found that very odd.
I didn't see that.
Okay. Yeah, so they're like, yeah, we got a bunch of influencers here that sort of helped us decide what was supposed to be in the game or not. And I was like, because that's not who I want. I want the developer, regardless of what the end result is. I don't want, because a lot of those guys will be the longevity of some kind of fan is not necessarily who you want with their pinky up saying it should be like this. It should be like that. But I did find that interesting that they were like, it was such a big deal. And no diss on anybody who was asked to go. That's great for you. But we'll have to see, because also, if it does well, prepare for those people to be like, yeah, I was a developer on this title.
That was me. I told them.
Yeah. Well, just so you know, So we'll have to see. But from all intents and purposes, looks great. Looks like a good improvement to graphics at the very minimum, and allows for them to decide what they're doing next after what do you call it too? After Shadows, because I don't,
I don't have anything against them tapping into some of the older games for remakes, as long as they also make new ones.
Me neither.
Like you said, Resident Evil has a good formula for that maybe they can look at, like preserving the original but modernizing and stuff. I'm actually quite happy with it.
Dude, developers watch each other. Nobody, it is not lost on anybody that Capcom has figured out a way to regurgitate well. That's not to be rude, but that is what there's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And because free market should ultimately end up responding in whatever way, like whatever way it works out is the way it works out. F says, I don't disagree, but how many developers does it feel like don't listen to their audience and their game completely flops? I don't know. How many listen to their fans and the game flops? A ton. 50-50. I just don't necessarily. I don't want to get into this because it's going to sound like I'm dissing on the people themselves, but a lot of times a long-term fan is the one you're dealing with on a Reddit with their pinky up telling you that, the color of a HUD is slightly off, and the idea of getting a developer focused on that versus maybe looking at where things are going and how to deliver the best the best game. They don't overlap. But I will say this, it's a remake, and I think, or a remaster, or resynced, and I think your best, if you're going to do this, it's probably on a game like this where it's the best. So that's a positive to them. Mike Gemma, $10. Black Flag is a fave of mine. The modern day segment was the weak part and ruined the pace of Edward's adventure. Changes they show are things I wanted. Missing DLC I'm okay with. Wasn't essential to me. Yeah, everybody's different. Some people I've seen immediately were like, yeah, it's definitely not for me. And then other people, because of those exact issues, that's what we deal with right now. The developers are going to have to put their foot down, and it looks like they did. We'll see if that free market ends up paying off or not. I think Black Flag's your best one to remake because it feels the closest. Less developer churn to try to make it feel like a current game because it already was your 0.5 of the new versions. What do you think's the next? Let's say you were invited. They're like big top number major influencer Johnny Plays Live is coming to Ubisoft.
Definitely.
And everybody's there. Yeez is like, what would you like us to do? I don't know if that's even close to his accent, but you guys show up and he's like, you choose the next game. What would that be for you? Next game to get the
probably
resynced version.
Brotherhood.
Yeah, same.
I think that was my favorite from the old ones.
Absolutely.
That was just an incredible game. Great protagonist, great setting, everything. I do like Ezio, and I know he was like a sack of shit technically, but I would like to see that as well.
On my face when you said Ezio, and I saw my reflection, and I immediately was like, fake smile.
Yeah, POS.
But I agree with you. Yeah, for sure. Brotherhood. I'd like to see, obviously, Rogue and Syndicate. Rogue's probably too close, but I would kill to see.
Syndicate. Because I think Syndicate still holds up. I played it semi-recently.
Yeah, it does.
It looks still pretty good. Not that I would mind a remake at all.
Right.
In fact, I would love it because I like London, seeing London depicted. So that would be cool.
It's so good.
But
Brotherhood.
Yeah, it's...
Brotherhood would be the one. And if they did multiplayer in Brotherhood, I would kiss them on the mouth.
Yeah, because they had a fun multiplayer idea.
Yeah.
And that brought to, well, now that multiplayer is a bigger thing compared to before,
I love it. Yeah.
Imagine if you make like a Ghost of Tsushima Legends mode that's a multiplayer, cross-platform where like people can just all join in together to play.
Yep. It'd be fun. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Revelations, could sorely do with a remake. It could. Yeah. That one's sort of an off. It's important, but you don't hear it talked about as much. But I didn't mind it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was still good for sure.
So, Stephen Totillo had a discussion with Asha Sharma, who runs Xbox Now. I'm just going to read this snippet from the discussion. Sharma and Booty had no additional info to share with me about exclusivity. No calls made yet. Choices around Xbox's approach to exclusive games are long-swinging decisions that have decade-long impact, Sharma said. We'll take a data-driven approach and a strategic-driven approach, and then we'll look at our principles and we'll make some calls. So we'll share more when we're ready. I specifically asked if they had a time frame for making a decision. Nothing we're ready to commit to, she said, pointing out that she was in a role for only 60 days. That's fair. She wasn't going to rush it. I want to make the right decision, not the fastest one. I think the right decision is exactly what they've been doing, and I think most of this is churn. Most of what they're saying. So this is what I was saying right at the starting of the podcast that I think everybody needs to come to grips with. Number one, company can say something today and change it tomorrow. Can we just all agree? So whatever they say now means nothing. If they say exclusives forever, means nothing. If they say no exclusives forever, means nothing. But what they have said multiple times, and it has actually never changed, once they announced that there would be some exclusivity changes, they have never once not said the same thing. Every single game gets its own choice. And everybody should just be aware of that. They've made it pretty goddamn clear. And I don't know if they think internally, like, are these guys not... Maybe people don't like the gray area of it, but a company is going to look at this, and that's what happened with Call of Duty. Game Pass had Call of Duty. They looked at the money that they didn't get from the subscriptions compared to the money that they thought they would get from the sales, and they then had hard numbers and were like, this many people got Game Pass right when Call of Duty came out, and this is the difference between the Call of Duty Game Pass price and the purchase price of the minimum game, and that difference was 300 million, I guess, is something like that. That's what they think that they sort of ate. So now we see the, Call of Duty won't be on that. Prepare for more changes. I don't know why. Nobody draws a line in the sand and just says we'll die on our soul. It doesn't make sense as a business. All these decisions, if they look at Forza, 5 million sales, you got to look at it and say a year. I think a year is a smart way of doing it because it's still exclusive for a year. I think we're seeing that with a lot of companies. There was a big argument that Sony was still exclusive because it was PC and console. I'm sorry, I don't buy that because many people just have a PC or just have a PlayStation. If you have it on two platforms, you are no longer exclusive. And then you can get in. If you want to tier it because it makes you feel better at night with your anime pillow, you can tier it. But ultimately now, the way all these are going, if you are on two platforms, you are not exclusive. That's just the way it is. Deal with it. And so Sony saying that they're not doing, or not saying that they're not doing, but the rumors being that they're not doing exclusives means nothing in 6 months if they decide another Helldivers is coming or they decide whatever. That's the way the business is now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll pivot. And it only makes sense. If your game isn't selling on your system, the only intrinsic value you offer, Rory's talked about it, is that somebody in the future may look at that and go, oh, they've held on to this exclusive, therefore I have more loyalty to them. And I got to be honest, man, I think consumers have shown that they don't have loyalty to shit, and that's okay. Do you know who you should have loyalty to? You. Not to a company. You should have loyalty to what gets you the best deal. So if you want to go to Apple next week and you've been an Android fan, you're not part of team. They're both team A. They're both Android or Apple. Like, dude, it's a game.
I agree. We see it a lot. People get tribal. They link their identity to a company or something.
Dude, it's uncomfortable, man. It's shady as shit because I think somebody will feel like internally they're doing some cool thing, but externally, and I've been at companies that have had exclusive software or exclusive whatever. If you think that company, other than saying we have to return, we have to do something for our loyal customers, but they're not sitting up late at night celebrating Johnny, who's the only bot. They don't know. You know what I mean? They have no clue what you haven't signed in on. You may have something else, so they don't want to bite too far into the same exclusivity that a lot of people treat like some ritualistic thing where they come home and they have their little Xbox shrine, shit like that. Get prepped, man. It's going to change all the time. What do you think about like, so Starfield came out. We got that, right? What do you think about Elder Scrolls? That's going to be on everything, right? That's why
Do we know that?
No,
Or no?
but no. I should say that's my guess because Elder Scrolls is so big that can you imagine putting out a game that's taken a decade and a half and you're going to be like, we're going to purposely eat billions of dollars, which is billions of dollars on micros and your other platforms just to uphold something. I mean,
That's a good point. And especially since they've seen their games sell really well on PlayStation. You know, Forza did bonkers. We talked about the numbers.
Grounded,
there.
Forza.
Yeah, Grounded.
There was something else.
Even Star Citizen. This, more modest, but still
Starfield.
done pretty well. What did I say?
Star Citizen. Yeah.
It's the other one.
I was like,
Yeah.
but I get you. Yeah. It's now find out it got released and I didn't know. I'd be so mad. I'd be like, how the fuck did I miss that? But yeah, I get you. Yeah, it'll be cool to see in the future.
But timed, I view it probably going to be a timed release. I don't think day one on PS5.
For what?
I don't think they would do that. We were talking about the next Elder Scrolls. Yeah.
So I made the bet with Abzy about the release of GTA, and I was right about that.
Yeah.
I will say my confidence is 1 million, billion, gillion, jillion times higher that Elder Scrolls will come out on everything than it ever was for GTA. Now, if I'm wrong,
okay.
If I'm wrong,
what's it based on? Is just like you said, it's just too big that like they just want the money everywhere.
It's not even that you want the money. It's that internally, even at Bethesda, they've tried to release on other systems and it's failed because of technology. They did put their games out on PlayStation 3 and they did have technology issues. They do want their games on everything. They've already put Indiana Jones on multiple things. They've already looked at these. But if you look at Elder Scrolls, there's few things that are GTA 6 level. Elder Scrolls is not, but it's close. And it feels to me that would be such a, depending on how consoles sell, because this will be years from now, but depending on how consoles sell, can you imagine it would be, I mean, it's possible. I just don't see that it's possible that they wouldn't be like, this game is bigger than your platform. And especially with Microsoft going to the Helix, which is their console/PC, and then you've got PCs. Man, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I mean, I'm confident it'll come out on everything because it's that game, but hey, I just can't see it. But yeah, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It would give me a weird sense of stupid pride if they didn't. Does that make sense? I would be like, wow, you guys took one in the teeth, the guts, the nuts, the knees, the neck, and the ears to just be exclusive on one system because of the amount of money. It would have to
be their whole strategy.
It would have to be
if they are like pushing consoles or like pushing Game Pass.
True.
Like it's just.
I think the Game Pass thing is sort of their Trojan horse still, where they can say it's going to be on everything, but on Game Pass, you can play it for free until you decide to buy it or just keep paying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like there's that too. Yeah. We'll have to see, man. Yeah. Interesting times though. Interesting times. And just people just need to be prepped. That's our status quo for now. These companies answering to some random, myself included, jackass asking them a question on a podcast. Dude, what are you doing? Like you cannot put your like that's why they hedge. That's why they're like, well, for now, we're doing this. For now, we're doing this. We're looking into it. Also, can I point out, somebody being somewhere after 60 days, you see one of two things, Johnny, and it frustrates me, man. I can't believe they don't have a decision already, and they've only been there for 60 days. Can you imagine forcing somebody to make a massive decision and saying, you've been, like what was happening when she first came on? It was 2 weeks later and people are like, we want to know your exact rules for blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, if there's anything in the world that you want somebody thinking about, it's a multi-billion-dollar decision. Can you imagine just walking into work one day and they're like, Johnny,
let him sleep on it.
We know you're in charge of this project. We want an answer now. And you're like, but it's millions of dollars.
Even though you have almost no context and you're completely new to this team.
Dude,
please make a very committal and
multi-billion-dollar discussion.
Yeah.
I would say also exclusivity. The one thing you can say about exclusivity that I don't think has ever not meted out is that you are losing money no matter what. If the game is good and you don't lose money on the port, meaning the game is poor, the port is poor, the game doesn't sell. But it's like you are buying or trying to attain some kind of loyalty for your next purchase. You are not really gaining money if you do the exclusive. In the old days, you were, but these things they're not even the same kind of consoles anymore. And
maybe the full equation has something on the other side, which is either console sales or something that overcompensates for that loss. Yeah. That could make sense, right? And maybe that's what we're missing if they do decide to go exclusive.
Anyone think Bethesda model of game is outdated? There's always somebody out there. Yep. I mean, there's thousands of games that are like Bethesda games, so it's an open world fucking run around, do stuff game.
Yeah, it could mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think in general, the way they make games, which is like really based on being able to interact with everything and all this type of stuff, that makes a lot of sense to me for them.
Yeah.
To like how they make it. I think that's an intrinsic part to their games. So I wouldn't necessarily go out there and say they need to change something fundamental about how they make games. I welcome any like new engines and stuff like that, but I do think those are kind of things that have worked for them. Maybe don't work for other teams, but for their games, yeah.
Can you
I would say they kind of need to keep that.
Dude, for sure. If I played, that's the thing is there's just that game that does that. I like that game does that. I would like to see a couple more games actually do that. So in a weird way, I would say not outdated as much as not picked up and had the ball carried by another developer that pushes Bethesda to do other stuff outside of that. That would be more where I would go, is I would be like, no, I don't feel they're outdated. I feel like they're a Bethesda staple. It feels a certain way, which I absolutely love, just like I like Minecraft, which is way different than, Fortnite. But it would be nice to have one or two other companies do it so that you can get, I would say AA's start to do it. Elix, definitely. If you play an Elix, I got to tell you, many things are pick-upable. There's the other game that starts with an R from those companies. Gothic is another one where there is a very Bethesda-style interaction system going on. And I got to tell you, I want more, not less. But it definitely is like, it's its own thing. It's its own thing. Yeah. Which hopefully, I don't think that'll ever go away. It sounds like, everybody at the company still feels that way. I would like... it's going to sound like a dick thing to say, man. Like, a better, I just sound like a dick, but it's like their writing isn't very good, Like, it's just not. They hit it, they nailed it out of the park with the Ryujin quests, and the new DLC's got some amazing quests. But in general, it's not great. And it's not thought-provoking in the way that we see with a lot of other fictions. And that would be where I would want some pickup,
What about the Fallout games? Do you like the writing in those?
I do. But Fallout is lucky, man. Fallout is atomic classic.
Yeah.
And that's not done other than, you could say Outer Worlds is atomic, classic, futuristic. So that's why they sort of feel, in a weird way, you could say Outer Worlds feels like a futuristic Fallout in some way. I know they don't, but there's something about their aesthetic, something about the way they, Obsidian obviously helped,
even the gameplay
on the writing.
A little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough, man. I mean, I play a Skyrim and I even just look at the writing and I'm like, damn, like Starfield's got some amazing quests, but it's also got the same sort of bland, can you go and get a shirt? And you're like, But it's hard.
Yeah, it has some of that going on.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's why I sort of, it's hard to know if it's them or if you're stuck in a certain part of making a person feel like a nobody, but at the same time a somebody. It's a very weird world. It's like you're nobody, but you're the Dragonborn. And you're like, okay. So that's why you get the dichotomy of I'm grabbing somebody's socks and then I'm shouting a giant off a cliff. It's really.
So hold on a sec. I'm the chosen one.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just being chased around to collect people's letters from their grannies.
Yeah. Bummed to hear Carrick isn't in love with Saros. Well, I mean, I'm not in love with almost any game, but I did like it. So don't worry about that.
What's the last game you've been like just utterly in love with? Just full glaze, no caveats.
Sorry for the snort. That was not on purpose.
What? Yeah.
What? Man, I mean, dude, I'm just not like that. Like, I mean, open.
Yeah.
CG. But that's the thing is I don't necessarily feel like I should be, even if I wasn't a reviewer. It doesn't make, I mean, in love with, like, I don't know. That, to me, that, like, I love playing. Okay, here we go. You can love somebody but not be in love with them. Do you see what I'm saying? I love a ton of games. Ton of games. Love them. I love games. Okay, there we go. That's my answer. I'm in love with games and game technology and game making. I'm rarely in love with a game. I think that once I'm in love with a game, I notice its caveats and I notice its issues. Just like when you get married, you're like, this is great. And then 6 months later, you're like, oh, this carries all of the, or hopefully all of the positives of a relationship prior to marriage, but may carry some baggage that you're, not accustomed to. That's the way games are for me. So looking here, I would say I loved. I liked Ghost a shit ton. I like Silent Hill. Okay, Hell Is Us. I wouldn't say I was in love with, but Hell Is Us has a special place in my heart. The Altars has a very special place in my heart. Very special place in my heart. That is very difficult to get into when it comes to a game. And that's, I mean, there's a lot of
Resident
games.
Evil, the recent one?
No, not even close. Not in love with at all. No, like had great time playing it. But like in love to me means something. Like it means
it's beyond like just a buy.
Yeah.
Because you're saying it's almost flawless, maybe, I guess.
And it's flawless only to me because I'm, you love somebody different, right? You and I wouldn't choose the same spouse or girlfriend, right? So your love would mean something different and it doesn't resonate. So it's a good question, but I don't think it really, I'm not in love with products, man.
That's fair. What about Dispatch? Would you say?
No.
Because that was a
great game. Loved it. Played through it 4 times. Watched Solar play through it 3 times. But it is a bunch of tropes in a game. Hell Is Us, on the other hand, took and said, fuck you to the conventions of what they're going to show on screen and had its issues, but I did love it to where I was like, wow, they really went hard on some of this that especially in the face of these piece of shit people who try to push every game that wants to do anything and says, how dare you? It's a game, dude. That's how they dare. It's a book. That's how we dare. That's why you don't ban fucking books. That's why you don't ban games. That's why what are we doing? And I'm not the biggest games or art person. I mean, I do believe it, but I'm saying I'd never really get up on a soapbox and be like, oh my God, games are art. And in fact, they're products. Art is a product. You buy a Picasso, somebody doesn't just paint it for you. That's a gift. Art can be a gift. But I think that's a ridiculous, discussion to be like, well, for example, reviews, we shouldn't take cost into it. Fuck you. Because all art takes cost into it. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a goddamn charity place where you go and you pay money to get something. Like, that's ridiculous. It's stupid. And it usually is some indicator that there's a way to get out of jail free. But love is almost cost free in like financially, to where I would say I would buy something for, let's say, $200. No games achieve that. Yeah, no game. Ranger says, Hell Is Us was good. World building excellent. However, that boss with the spinning walls was some of the worst boss design I've encountered in over 40 years as a gamer. Play more games, bro. I'm just joking. We all only experience a certain very small number of games, but it wasn't the greatest boss. But man, I've seen some terrible ones. The actor in the altars was amazing. Yeah, dude. Yeah, so good. Oh, you know, Elden Ring. I wasn't in love with Elden Ring, but I feel like Elden Ring is such a massive improvement on everything that was Dark Souls that it makes you... I was already aware of Dark Souls' huge number of flaws. They're fun, but they have a massive number of flaws. Like, unless you're just a person who pretends that they don't, you can see them and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Elden Ring improved in a self-critique way that was phenomenal. That's a developer who's like, my baby is ugly. And this kid's never going to develop anything better unless I try to improve them and get them some plastic surgery. And that's what they did with Elden Ring. And it's okay to admit your baby is nasty and you don't want anybody seeing it anymore.
That's and it's like the prior babies were good at one specific thing, like the person who's like, they're great at bowling, but they're a piece of shit and like everything else a disaster.
Yeah.
But Elden Ring was really good at a lot of things, weirdly. Even those outside of the traditional Souls-like.
Yeah.
Things like just the open world aspect. I think nobody expected that to be good because they were having a crack at it kind of for the first time. Well, not really. I should say their games are kind of open world. Dark Souls 1, it's kind of one big area that you can traverse however you want. But it's very different than like an open field type situation.
Well, and that's why Neo chose open field as their term, because they were like, it is an open world, as in this spontaneous multiple systems simulated on top of each other, but it's open field. And ultimately, whether you like it or not, they delivered pretty much exactly what they said they were going to do. Kudos to Neo 3, because they were like, this is what we're doing, and you got it, and you're like, that's exactly what they did. And a lot of games are like that. I thought they were asking me. All right, moving on from there. I had something else I wanted to ask you about. We were talking about that, and I had a list here. Okay, so we talked about Saros. Game. Oh, by the way, the Gang of Dragon trailer, they had that funding issue. They were it looked like a Chow Yun Fat kind of Yakuza. They took down their YouTube channel and stuff. So when they had...
they took down the website.
Yeah, because the
right?
I think the funding fell through, which sucks.
Man, yeah, that sucks. That looked awesome.
It did. And what's funny is, did it really? I'll say what we saw looked awesome, but at the same time we didn't see much. But you know what I mean? Like, we do say that, and I say it with unabashed.
A lot of it is just the raw idea of this like chunky action man, like Asian action man. It was just so perfect.
Yep. Do you think we'll get? You already asked me that, buddy, about Onimusha. Let's see here.
I think we will get it this year.
Oh, and then Conan Exiles Enhanced was announced, which is funny. Just bigger schlongs, I guess. I have no clue.
Yeah.
I don't even know
Dongles,
the love for that game.
enhanced.
Yeah. Flaccid, enhanced flaccidness. It is weird though, because we were all laughing and discussing it, going, they did make quite a big deal about their flaccid penises when that game came out. They were like, hey, look,
True.
we just want to make
that
sure
was a
you
selling
know
point.
that was a selling point for a game.
You can have your penis.
You're gonna have your penis and eat it too? Nah, that's not right. That should never have been said out loud. That's incorrect and should never be said again.
I can see why your brain went there.
Yeah, well, my brain is always there. I lift it up occasionally when I talk to you, and then it goes back. Dude, there was some shit last night, man. We were all chatting about something, typing, and somebody said something. And what's the German word? I don't know, like Rubicosness or something. I'm just making up a word. There's some German word for like when you have a bad feeling about, so you hope, like you celebrate and other people having a bad Schadenfreude or Schadenfucker or something.
Schadenfreude. Yeah, like you enjoy someone else's suffering.
Someone else's suffering. I got to tell you, mine's always there. I realized that a couple days ago. So, when I say I love chaos and I love when shit goes nuts and, I realized last night in this discussion, I'm always that way, and that I come out of that for normal discussion. And it is weird, but I get delight in, it's not just bad things happen to bad people or bad things, because I love bad things happening to bad people. Dude, nothing makes me happier in the morning than like reading news about a bad thing happening to a bad person. I don't know what it is, but I'm just
like karma.
It is
in action.
Yes. And I'm like, dude, you push too hard, it's not always going to hit you, but when it does, you fucked. And I love that. But yeah, I realized it last night. I was like, when I say I love chaos, and I do, I think it's because I'm always under the hope that during those chaotic times, bad things are going to happen to bad people, because that's my status quo. I was like, oh, damn, I'm always there. What's Mark Ruffalo say when they ask him about what's your secret? And he's like, my secret is I'm always angry. And I'm like, my secret is I'm always in Freudenfucker or whatever. Like,
you're always there.
I'm always there. Let's see. Halo Studios reportedly abandoned Battle Royale and is pivoting to a different style. How many pivots is that for Halo? 150?
Damn. Yeah.
Dude, man. How the mighty have fallen, man. I mean, man. I feel like Halo's just...
They have the remake coming out, right? That's still happening.
Yeah. Yeah, that is happening.
See, it's weird to me because they had a very clear direction, identity, and then it just feels like maybe they lost it, or you know what I mean? Why can't they just keep making Halo games? Because I mean, they had plenty of Halo games experience to know how to make a Halo game. So where did it go wrong?
You ever seen a podcast where a director comes on and a person says, yeah, so I have a question. This guy flashes his tattoo for 1.3 milliseconds during this one scene while a chick is in the background and a cat walks by. What's that mean? And the director's like, nothing. It was just shit that happened. I feel like with Halo, somebody was like, why? And I don't think why is a good question to ask for. By the way, I'm not developing the game. I'm just talking right now. I just don't think why is a good question to ask for Halo. Halo is fairly Americana space, space combat.
It's more like, fuck yeah, this is cool.
I don't care that people think Master Chief might be a bad guy. I want another Halo designed differently with more Flood, more Covenant. And once you start getting your pinky up about like, why? Look at how scary the Covenant really were technically at first. They were like calling you a demon, and you're like, that's got some pretty heavy religious connotations. We know they're religious. You get all this cool shit. And then they start showing cutscenes with the Covenant in the background in the later games. And you're like, dude, what are you doing? Remember, we were just talking about mystery? And I think Halo went the opposite route. Halo showed way too much of what was going on versus the unknowable of the Covenant and the unknowable of the Flood. One of the best parts of Halo is when it turns into a motherfucking horror game. You're like, what is happening right now? Like, what are these things? And that bone-chilling, they're killing the bad guy, So are they good guys? Well, no, obviously not. But what does all this mean? You don't need to. Sometimes you don't need it. You know, it's an eternal grind. I like that, and they fucked it up a little bit. It's gone a little too far on the other side. Pragmata has already sold 1 million copies in 2 days.
Wow, nice.
I have so many really dark things to say out loud that my brain got a little traffic jam. And it didn't say anything, so I'm not going to say what I wanted to say. But yeah,
are any of them related to the bare feet?
They're all bad. They're all bad. They're all
okay.
Not going to say any of them. They're all really bad in my brain. But anyway, it sold 2 million. Good for it, man. People seem to really like Pragmata. You know?
Yeah, very fun game.
Yeah, it did well. Once again, they know how to make a game. I think that some of the stuff they cribbed, that sort of feeling of like Death Stranding, where you've got something that you got to take care of, and you're sort of, you know, that travel with it, but better combat. I would say for the most part, I feel like most people think the combat in this is good, even with the oddity of how everything goes. And then Windrose sold 1 million. Windrose is the pirate thingy, right?
Wasn't that free to play, or am I bugging?
I think are you bugging? Are you bugging? Let me click. I feel like
no, it's not.
Like it's
sorry,
purchased.
It's £25.
Ooh, good price.
25 British pounds.
20, just the British one. Any other people who do pounds, this does not concern you. yeah. So good for them, man. I know nothing about it. Haven't really heard anybody in chat playing it or talking about it, but I do know that outside of that. But I've been busy, so maybe I just didn't see it. But I know a lot of people have been like really into it. Windrose is a pirate survival game. Well, no wonder I don't know what it is. Okay. Anyway, so awesome. Yeah, dude, again, games selling well. And these are all good, too, because the more sales you get, the more money comes in. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want a game to do bad. You're hoping that they all do good unless there's something crazy about it.
It's an early access title.
Ooh, okay.
And as you know, I have a
weakness,
apprehension with survival early access titles.
Me too. Yeah.
Like massive. Even ones that I really like Sons of the Forest. I refused to play it until like the full version was out. And it was a great game. I'm glad I waited for it instead of playing the shitty early access version. I
waited 17 years for Zombioid. And that was early access for like... I think it might still be early. No. They went. We've talked about this, and I remember people correct me. They have gone to 1.0.
They have.
But I bought it back before Steam was a fucking thing. Like it was some cheap ass website somewhere. And so I'll definitely I'll partake of some early access, but early access Steam, bro, or sorry, early access survival. That's a lot.
Especially rough.
That's a lot. Yeah. That's because I feel like it's really easy to get to the end of the offerings in those games too. And then because it's a survival game, you know the chop is going to be there that you expect from every other early, survival game. So it's repetitive chop, end of content. Like that's sort of how I feel anything with survival sort of plays out.
Yeah. It burns me out a lot because you clearly don't have access to very important things that you're going to have access to later. And that is made known to you because they have a roadmap. So they are telling you, for example, Grounded 2, I jumped into, and it's a solid early access, by the way. But there are things that are on the roadmap, like, for example, what are those called? The zip lines. Yeah. So zip lines are not in. Zip lines are not yet in the game. That's in the roadmap for later, I think. Maybe it's been released already. When I played it, it wasn't out. The first game has zip lines. So now I'm in this weird position where, I'm playing the new game, but in a weird way, the first game is a much better game because it has all these things already in it. And here I am playing this where like a lot of the bad guys are not in it yet. It's just a lot of stuff. And I think it does a disservice to the game for me to play it in this state. At least that's how I felt. because I'm not going to be as excited to jump back into it when it's fully released because I've already dabbled in it in a way. Like some of the mystery is already gone, some of the expectation is there now. So I don't know. For a lot of these games, I would prefer to have a less perfectioned product, but actually have it fully released.
Agreed.
Instead of like dabbling in it.
Yeah, or the early access to have all the features. I know this is unrealistic, but I agree with you wholeheartedly that the early access having all the features of the original and then building on that for the sequel. I know it's unrealistic, but that's just the way it does feel. I played Grounded 2, and I was like, wow, they don't have the steeds in it, or the beasts, or whatever they're called. They don't have like 50 or 60. And I didn't play a bunch of Grounded 1, but even I was like, oh, damn, this is... It's weird, isn't it? It's weird when you do early access for a sequel. I think in particular, if you look at early access, it's even weirder when it's a sequel than anything else, because it can feel...
I think it does need to cover the basis of the original game pretty well. Like one example is Slay the Spire 2. It is in that same situation, but they do a good job of, because the game is so based on the original, everything is pretty much like the original game plus other stuff. So it's a weird sequel. It's not your normal. For them it works because it's what they're building. I don't know, it makes sense in their framework, but for everybody else who is building a brand new game, right, that's based on the prior but completely new, I agree with you. I think they need to cover some bases before putting that out.
Yeah, I agree. All right, everybody, we're going to do some Q&A, so feel free to throw your super chats in or your normal questions, and we'll get to those. I've got a couple here as well that I want to get to because these people were nice enough to throw some cash into the Patreon. Let's see. And they had some good questions. And by the way, everybody's got the good questions, so I do want to say... how much appreciated. Okay, so here's one. I'm just going to call him Meaty because the rest of his username is unacceptable. How do you even tell what's good anymore when everything is being marketed as a must play? Yeah, right. The numbness of... That's what the commercial at the starting of the podcast is. The epic, massive multiplayer, immersive, blah, 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 blah. It's the same words all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, there's two ways to tell if a game's good, I would say. One, wait for reviews and find somebody who in some way matches you, understanding that it doesn't mean that you're going to fully match because we all like different things, even if most of the time you agree. That's one way. The other way is an aggregate months and months later. A third way is to buy everything. You'll hear people say, I never wait for reviews. And I'm like, that's cool. If you have unlimited money. By the way, I wait for reviews. When I'm not reviewing a game, even I mean, to me, I don't have unlimited cash. So like, it doesn't make sense to not wait, to see if there's tech issues or what have you. So those are really the only three ways. And what's good anymore, man, good is so subjective.
Yeah.
And I think everything is marketed as must play because it's become the we need to talk of games coverage and games PR, right?
The age of FOMO and all this.
Yep. It's always about this kind of stuff. It's like, it's always about, we need to talk. You are not ready for. Of course you're fucking ready.
Yeah.
And we don't need to talk. And it's bullshit if you're told that. You're being lied to. Like, you can just passively, you don't have to, like, I hate that shit. And the same thing happens with games where they start, the must play or, what's the term? Like never before seen or, revolutionary or innovative.
Right.
And they are all fake. It's just not, it doesn't even make sense in our industry that you would get those kind of things. Maybe within the full game, but if you hear somebody say we have a revolutionary blank system in our game, no, probably not. I mean, its entire control scheme or whatever would have to be different. And I think time travel, overlapping worlds like the Medium tried to do. The Medium, if it had been good, if it had been anything other than rare, If that thing had come in as a classic, the medium with the dual worlds might have been sort of an evolution, maybe. It wouldn't, not a revolution, sort of an evolution of things. Boy, that game was bad. Let's see. How do you even build an audience? Oh, this is a YouTuber question. No username. Okay. All right. So if you're listening and this is your question, feel free to pop off. How do you even build an audience when attention shifts to a new game every week? Let me add to that. How do you even build an audience when AI has 1,000 songs go up on a single YouTube video or YouTube channel in one day? Listen, people write songs because they like music and they want to be an artist. And then there's people who want to make money as an artist, but let's talk about the artistry of it. I make videos because I love video game tech and discussion and blah, blah, blah. If you do not, I would say YouTube is not a very easy place because you will see a non-return. I just did a video a couple days ago on Tides of Tomorrow. I was asked by the dev to cover Tides of Tomorrow, and I was like, or PR for the dev. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to squeeze this in because it looks cool. It made $19. And I didn't waste, sorry. Took me about 10 hours. So what is that? 2 cents? That's
the return on that.
Some straight, yeah. Do I care? No. Did I go and even look at that amount? No, I have a system that tells me how much something made because I don't even care to go look. It doesn't make sense. Things I don't think are going to do well. And things that I think are going to do well, don't. If you're getting into YouTube or whatever because you want to make cash, I'm sorry. The only way you're going to be able to do that quickly would be to take shortcuts like, because even making good content, we've seen it. Anybody who tries to tell you just make good content, no catch on, bullshit. Because I've seen 1,000. I just saw a channel yesterday, 483 people. Thomas Jane did an interview with them 5 years ago. And they're still only at 483 subscribers. And they had like 50,000 people watch it. So you're like, okay, that goes to show you can have engaging content and a big star come on and still no grab whatsoever. So make stuff because you want to. And if you make money, congrats. Let's see. EF Bay, $10 super chat says, more likely 007 being just okay or 007 being game of the year contender. And what would the main reasons be for one or the other? Example, just okay because heavily scripted. This is a good question. Number one, game of the year contender. Can we knock it off? I've already seen game of the year contender for Pragmata.
Saros, game of the year.
Saros, game of the year.
Everywhere.
Dude, it's coming up all the time. But I get what he's saying. So just okay would be, it feels like Hitman plus guns. Meaning it's still got the Hitman jank. Because let's be honest, Agent 47 shoots like somebody who has no vision and has never touched a gun before.
And he moves like a construction machine.
Yeah, like he's really got like some kind of donkey choking turd on deck. That guy moves fucking rough. So, and I love Hitman games. That's how that game would be just okay. You'd be like, oh, it's Bond. It doesn't do great amount with the 007, but it's fun, blah, blah, blah. Game of the year would be where people are outright stating they would rather see another 007 than they would see a Hitman. I think that's going to be the telling point. That if we see people saying, because Hitman already has been on people's game of the year 1, 2, and 3 at some point. Not everybody's, but I mean, some of those have been great. And so you've seen that. If you see people saying, man, I can't wait for another 007 game, and if that means Agent 47 doesn't come back right away, even knowing David Bateson's getting older, who's the voice actor, that to me would indicate that that would be a really good game. That, you know, that would indicate like the driving was really fun, which does not look like that right now at all. So it definitely looks like you're more okay, where it's sort of like, here's James Bond, here's doing some shit, and you know, hopefully enjoy yourself.
Okay, that's an interesting frame. I hadn't thought about just like people really wanting more of it as a good
because if it replaces a lineage, that would be an indicator of something crazy, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a good point. And also because of it's a good point because James Bond is like a big franchise,
Mhm.
obviously. So the expectation is probably, if it does well and if it's good, we can make a franchise out of this.
Mhm. And
So I like the idea of judging it by that.
and if it isn't, and people are like, that was great, but I can't wait for another Agent 47, especially with some overlap between them, you're like, okay, that, I think we're all hoping it's not okay or Game of the Year. Weirdly enough, for them, Game of the Year, hey, that'd be great. But I think if it's a really good game, that would be the greatest, because then that dev can say, listen, we now are sort of these guys. We're those guys. They're already those guys for like the agent contract killing games, because like even though you weren't contracts, but if you look at Splinter Cell, it's gone for now. So you've got like sort of Hitman being the one. If they were able to slice that right in the middle and be like, now we have James Bond and we have, Agent 47, dude, there's not a lot of games like that. I would be okay with them just going, every 2 years they do one of those. Like that would be not every year. That would be a short development period, but every 2 years I would be all over that.
Yeah.
Lana Del Rey did that title. That was cool too. She did the main menu music. Pretty good song. By the way, YouTube, holy shit. Did you hear that song on YouTube?
Yeah.
Dude, whoever does the YouTube audio codec needs to be taken outside, strapped to the back of a car like the boys, and
shed.
drugged down a road for like a year. Holy shit, it was so compressed and so just raspy and over the top of each other that when you hear it with even a slightly higher bit rate, you're like, oh, it sounds like a car wreck at points. It's so compressed. And I was looking at the uploads. Lana's is a higher bit upload by a good amount. For an audio track with no movement on hers, I think it was about 3 times as much bit rate. Their codec is still going to destroy it. But then you go to the Hitman, I think, where they had animation going on. You're sharing the bit rate. You're crunching all that down. And sounded fucking horrendous. Let's see. What else do we got? Why should I invest in any online game if there's a real chance it won't exist in a year? Beelzebub.
Yeah. I mean, that is a fair question, actually. I think one of the reasons people are hesitant to jump onto new online games is for that. They might just say, well, I'm going to stick with Overwatch or League, whatever your game is, because that's going to stay around. I think it's fair that, and maybe that is an extra question that devs need to respond to when they come up with a new game. And some try to, right? They give you a roadmap. Yeah. But I think it needs to be more than that. It needs to be like, hey, we have solid reason to believe this is going to do well, maybe, or we have enough runway to go for at least a year. I don't know. Maybe there's something extra they can give as assurance, because we've seen with a lot of these games where they had a roadmap. What was the big one that kind of went down?
Concord, Highguard. Yeah,
Highguard. I think they had a roadmap, and then suddenly it's gone.
Roads have detours. That one just happened to go off a cliff. Right?
Yeah.
Can I also point out that I think invest is the wrong thought process? I think what you should do is buy for the time that you have right then, enjoy it, and if it continues to go, that's great. But I think investment is just such a weird, because you're also investing when other people are controlling. I mean, an investment truly expects a return. The term expects a return, and we all get mad when you don't get a return on your financial investments, let alone a game, which is, in a weird way, somewhat the same thing. If you spend $60 though, and you get $60 of fun out of that, that's great. You always want to hope something lasts, but the honest truth is, how many of us, let's say, stick with something? Not all of us are WoW gamers anymore. I think the WoW gamer is sort of gone anyway. Not gone, but you get my drift. There's a lot of games, way more games than there used to be. And I think that investment's a heady word, man. It has a lot of weight as a word, right? Like,
would you expect to get something back of your TV watching? Just using another hobby as an example. Or like, maybe reading books is a bit different because sometimes you would read like nonfiction or, just something to learn from it. So you expect to get something productive. Or maybe you're investing into learning guitar because you want in the future to benefit. You could maybe view that type of hobby as an investment. But I don't think you should view gaming in that way. I think it's pure, like you said, you're looking for moment-to-moment enjoyment. And you don't need it to transcend
transcend it. I think maybe there's also a middle ground that we're not hitting, and it sort of popped into my head when you were talking, is that maybe so let me tell you where investment would matter. The game company says if you buy a bank with real cash in this game, you'll get a continued investment for a particular amount of time. And by the way, that is not the investment part. Let's say it's housing, whatever. So you buy that with the idea that it's going to continue to pay off in the future. That I can see why somebody said, why am I investing in this if it's going to be gone? But if, like, let's say you buy a game and you play it, as long as it's still running, I don't think we really run into this. You've already paid and you've got your stuff. I think if it's not running, though, which is why don't kill games or whatever is a thing, then you get shortchanged regardless if the game is popular or not, or regardless if you have a friend group who wants to play it. You're literally not able to get the investment back or experience said thing. So imagine buying a painting, and a lot of people will put a painting up, and I put my Space Marine up, and I've looked at it after my initial purchase. Enjoyment. But if that painting just went away, it was like a time limit on my painting, I don't think I would buy it. I would be like, even if I got 6 months of like, wow, that looks awesome, I'd be pissed as shit if it just went away. So like, I get where they're coming from, but I guess it depends on the game too and the style of game. Man, that's a hard one. Investment's because in nature, a heavy word. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
In nature, those games we know aren't going to last forever.
Right.
And in some cases, they just last not long enough to maybe pay off what you paid. So I get that part. But I just think it's part of the deal. You are kind of signing the dotted line with these games that they can go away, Yeah.
I mean, as we get farther in, you're going to see developers who've already been talking about if they move to the future, a lot of them, if not a majority of them, have split sharded servers, which was one of the big positives, let's say 10 years ago, which was we're sharding out specific things onto spread out servers. And there is no PC at your home that's capable of delivering the instance that somebody would want if they shut down. That's going to be a very real thing developers are going to have to look at for offering. Because, by the way, that's not a what do you call it? It's not that's not a one-off. Multiple developers have that. In fact, I would say the majority of developers are using at least 3 like server infrastructures for sign-ins, for like Star Citizen does the thing where they bounce you between servers if there's an issue. I just feel like a lot of developers are going to not meet us halfway. This is nothing against them, and it's not against fans who want it. I feel like a lot of the shit is going to turn out to be, the game can continue to run. Here's your executable.
Good luck executing it.
Good luck. Yeah. Works on ours.
I think actually...
I'm just joking. That would suck.
Yeah. I think actually the offline mode is going to be more of a thing.
Yeah.
Or like an expected requirement. And I think developers will kind of architect around that, so they will have some type of offline mode that can keep running without the infrastructure, albeit limited.
I was
in
going to
ways.
say, do you know how limited that would be? Whether it be AI. Look at AI for an MMO. Like, holy shit, the CPU cycles you're running.
Stuff like that just won't work offline, right? Flatly.
It's going to be tough.
So there are some limits.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to see how like everybody, because technologically we're in a more spread out world. Technologically, we're like, hey, let's put servers everywhere and have them all feed and bounce you so you don't experience this or that. And then at the other end, we've got the very viable complaint that is, but if I paid, I want to be able to connect. So you got to leave it running. I almost wish there was like a service or company that took on MMOs. What I mean by that is, I open up a server infrastructure and I'm like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'll take on your old MMO. Right? I'll take on, and we'll put it at my server farm. And to meet legal requirements, you have to pay for the server infrastructure, the power plus a premium, whatever. And then gamers, when they subscribe, they or whatever, let's say it's a subscribed service, they a small portion goes to me to service this. You no longer have to worry about it, and we'll just keep it running. Like, call it legacy.com or something, and that's all that company does, is takes on these games. And even if it's a multi-shard, and maybe they say, hey, listen, just because you're in Australia doesn't mean we have a server in Australia. And the game probably didn't anyway, because we've seen that, unfortunately, with Turum, who's in Australia, and he's like, if nobody's playing this game, it might be popular in America. It's not popular here. I'm fucked for timing. But like, say, here's your one, and you can connect, and we can handle a certain amount of connects and disconnects each hour. I don't know.
Yeah.
Man. I don't know. I feel like if I was Musk, I'd be putting some money into that, because gaming is a big deal. And if you could say you were the company who is okay with taking on other companies' games, it might work. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Maybe, yeah. Well, I was thinking of what they do now with games like Black Desert, where they have an entire, like, alternative version of the game that is hosted and everything by just users, and they basically like tweak the game so it's Black Desert, but maybe
private
the
server.
Currency is different, or the earning rates are different. There are different things like that.
I've played on many a private server before. Private server,
that type of stuff. Definitely. I definitely view a market for that. I mean, we kind of have that with private servers for hire for different games, like survival games and stuff like that, where you can just stand up a server and play off of that.
I've stood up quite a few for the Discord, and they've worked quite well, where if you have the Steam key, you basically give them the Steam key, and that thing will be up in like less than 30 minutes. We're talking a couple games I've done have been like 5 minutes. Now, maybe that's a more popular game. They've already got that thing ready, like a GeForce Now server, but maybe GeForce Now does this. There is a possibility of doing it. But what I'm worried about is developers purposely holding back because they're worried about, because it's one more thing to worry about, and then not put a new tech in. And by the way, I'm guessing on a new tech. I'm just saying some new thing, like, differentiated shards that handle different types of levels of destruction on different areas, and then pipe it to your fucking house so it looks amazing. The water and what do you call it? Sea of Thieves kind of stuff, but destruction like Crackdown 3 was gonna do. You get all that running, and then now you got to go into the future and figure out how are we going to handle that later. Maybe you just assume you'll be able to handle it. And then also, can you imagine trying, let's say we do refunds. Can you imagine trying to figure out everybody's refund? You have stores that go away. You've got deals. What if it's a humble bundle? You're not going to get a refund on $60. You're going to get a refund on $2 because it was one of the 55 pack-ins, and tracking that.
Well, it doesn't even work if you bought it through like a key site.
Yeah.
Because they were the ones to originally source it somehow.
Yeah, it's always so easy to say it should just work, and it's like it should
just
if
work.
they were also. Maybe what you do is say, if you want, maybe you just sell it from your store, but people won't want that. But I'm just saying that would be one way to say, you bought it through this store. This is not a CD keys, not Humble Bundle, whatever.
Yeah,
because then we can track a refund of some kind. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Yeah, we'll have to see. What I don't want is them to be like, hey, we have an offline mode, and you get it, and it's like you walking down a street with two guys. And they're like, still works. And you're like, yeah, come on, this isn't WoW. What do you do? Good question, by the way. Thank you very much. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Knew this was happening. Tryon says, and thank you, $40 super chat. Appreciate it. Are we basically training companies that releasing unfinished games is acceptable as long as they fix it later? I already know what that's about because I recognize that name. No. Just because we have some games do that doesn't mean that everybody's going to do it. Just because we have some games that do really well doesn't mean everybody's going to copy that. No, we're not capable of. I mean, they'll do what they'll do. I think a lot of devs don't like it anyway. I mean, they'd rather have a game that works day one so they can build on it, make more money versus having a 40-man team just fixing their shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for years.
Can you imagine?
Right? Before it's even released.
You and I have discussed this, but the biggest question that will always, for the rest of history, because it'll never be answered, would all the DLC for No Man's Sky be at the cheap or free price if it had released in good condition? Like, in the condition that they promised without lying. And that'll be forever, man. It'll never be answered. It's impossible to answer, but it really does beg the question of how many games that did release great day one released a ton of DLC for free that was as big as No Man's Sky. Then your filter is like 0. Maybe not
it's
0.
So weird
but
too,
I would have to track that
because we were just talking about games that do these DLCs. Mm-hmm. Some of them are small, some are big, and sometimes the price is similar. I mean, like SnowRunner, you're paying like $5-6 for 2 trucks,
or $5-6 for the land,
or $5-6 for a full map, like
it's
2 full maps.
It's so true. Yeah.
Right.
Man. Dude, you're right. Because Hunter Call of the Wild, I think the most is like 14 for a massive land, but they've got ones for $7.99, and that's what the Coleman fucking 2/10 that are orange Blaze cost. Dude, that's so true. It's it's so true.
And just imagine like each of the content updates for No Man's Sky, they're definitely,
substantial.
Substantial.
I mean, some aren't, but
some of them are very substantial.
Yeah. Dude, that's it's
crazy.
That is crazy, man. That is insane because the pricing. That's why I don't think we're training anybody for anything, because the pricing is different for every company and their funding is different.
Yeah,
like it's very difficult to say.
And I don't think anyone else could have that business model of we're gonna release this game and we're going to, for years in the future, create free content updates for free for like 10 years into the future, or however long it's been. Can you imagine that pitch? Like, yeah, bro, it's gonna be beautiful. People are gonna pay once for this game, and we're going to I don't know. It's odd. I don't know how it works, man.
And I think with No Man's Sky, the reason why also it's paid off for them, but maybe not others, is because they did fix it. Plus the DLC is substantial. And so then you got people buying the base game, and that is a good amount of money. The base games usually, can be, I've seen it on sale for like $9, but usually you can get it at full price. You can get it on deals, but they're buying the full game most of the time. You know what I mean? So it's like, they're not like, it's just here's the full game. It's not like you're buying the $5.99 thing. It's like, okay, a lot of people are just buying that full game. And it's a little like GTA in that way, where you see some of the sales and you wonder if one of your friends owns it on 3 machines, and then you find out he does. You're like, oh, no wonder they're selling the full game multiple times, because somebody's, played it on this and played it on that. I still don't get how Hello Games makes money with that model. If you want to look into procedural creation of new content in games, I think they have a couple GDCs, as well as some other games that handle procedural generation. Not saying it's easy, but it is far easier to make substantial changes, especially if you have a really, really good hold on your super formula, which is your formula for the procedural generation. It's attached to everything, so you can say, here's the formula for robots and how their color schemes work and blah, blah, blah. And by changing a single number, you're able to dramatically change something. Spore was Spore was not a good example, but Spore is an example of how you can see some of that work. Very fascinating. But the reason why, by the way, that they are making money is because they're not making money on the DLC model. They're making money on the full price model, or the base game price model. They've also been on a couple subscription services, haven't they, for a while? Hasn't No Man's Sky been on like a Xbox Game Pass for a little while? And so Microsoft would be paying them for installs. Yeah. And I got to tell you, as much as I like what we got right now, still would have wanted that game day one to be what the stuff that they said. I just think that would have been more enjoyable. Let's see. Some more questions. Oh my God. I'm going to skip the first part of this username. Boy, you can tell that they can use usernames that are questionable, but we'll call it gaming. We'll just say, this is gaming. They say, how much of game marketing is just creating the illusion of popularity rather than actual engagement? And fuck, you are right. So much is about fake engagement. And it's not even, it could be paying a streamer, which for sure is a part of this, but it's also, okay, by the way, do you know how to, this is not how to spot fake engagement. I take it back. What I'm going to say, though, is I have seen misused for people in engagement. Doesn't mean everybody who does this is they'll say something like this. Okay, let me parse this right. You'll see a Twitter post and it'll say something like, something news popped up, some new news. And they'll say something to the effect of, yeah, so I was getting this question a bunch about blah, blah, blah. So here's my answer. And you've been getting a bunch of questions that we can't see on Twitter. Now, by the way, I'm not saying this is always fake at all. I'm saying this is one of the ways in which it is done. But you're not seeing any of those questions. And they're entering the discussion by saying that they've been asked to enter the discussion. The fake popularity of the person who's doing that on Twitter. It's actually why, even when I am asked, I'll say it in here because we have people in the Discord who can say, yeah, he was asked that, whatever. So there's a little bit of proof there where you can be like, no, that's a real thing that was discussed. And I've stopped
pulling it out of your
I've stopped doing it on Twitter even because once I started seeing people, dude, I saw somebody who had I can't even remember, but I remember reading it going, that is fake. Yeah, I've been asked multiple times how, the perfection of what I do is blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
yeah, definitely, bro. Definitely been asked.
Yeah. That fake engagement's everywhere. And fake engagement works, by the way. Fake engagement absolutely works. Fake numbers work. Fake popularity works because it's FOMO. If you can fake FOMO, if you could fake that your game has, let's say, wish lists. Wish lists, very fake. Wish lists is completely fake. Wish list means nothing. Now, it doesn't mean that there's not a good indicator of a purchase later. It does. We've seen it. But we've also seen games sell incredibly well that weren't added to Steam until right before they sold or whatever, so you can get the outliers. So I'm not saying that you don't want a wish list if you want it, blah, blah, blah. But let's be honest, wish lists don't mean anything. There's nothing. It's a thumbs up on YouTube. Doesn't mean you won't return because you gave that person a thumbs up. Doesn't mean you won't buy it because you did do a wish list. But that is ultimately a no penalty vote, which is why a lot of times when I see somebody say, yeah, our game has 50,000 wish lists, I've become very suspicious.
Yeah.
because go ahead.
Can they pull that out of their ass? Can they say like, listen, man, we got
no, because you can see
1 million.
Yeah, you can see the wish lists, but I'm not with the bots and Clawbot and all this shit, Johnny, and the way in which you can make a Steam account. I should know. I've made my wife a Steam account. She's never bought a game. I mean, you can make these and you can wish list stuff. So why wouldn't it behoove a company, myself, let's say I'm making a game. So I've decided to make a game called Beanie Sewing Simulator. And all it's going to be is designing beanies and selling them. That's the game.
Banger
game. Already banger game. You go and you buy lots, or you make lots, as in a lot of, not tons, but in groups. You buy a lot of emails. You get ones that you can make Steam accounts for. Clawbot. Have it search that, page a little bit. Wishlist your game. Wishlist a couple others. It is not that crazy to assume that is being misused. A ton. I don't see how you would think it wasn't being misused. And it behooves any company to misuse it. And by the way, we saw the opposite of that, where they voted to have no thumbs down on YouTube videos. And everybody was trying to lie to people and saying it's because YouTubers feel bad when they get a thumbs down. But what they don't tell you is when you sign into YouTube, guess what YouTube does? A giant fucking alert that your video is doing shitty.
Yep. Thanks, YouTube.
Thanks, YouTube.
Yeah, great.
You're fucking liars.
Yeah.
The reason
10
why
out
that
of
was
10.
done is because movie trailers were getting voted down arbitrarily by bots, or voted up by bots, voted down, whatever. So they were like, yeah, we're going to remove them, because movie companies were like, we're not doing our trailer on your website if you can't control things, because there's no chance people, wouldn't like this TV show about donkeys shitting in the woods. It's impossible, because what we make is art. So how dare you vote us down? It was misused. All that kind of stuff is misused.
Yeah.
You always have to question it. And then,
But I always wonder,
go for it.
One quick thing
No,
there.
that's fine.
I always wonder, because we see in ads where people make claims like, this is the best product, or like studies prove that this is blah, blah, blah. And I don't think there is any scrutiny there, right? There isn't like a body checking those things. What if you just claim that and it's not true? What if I claim I had 1 million sales? There isn't anybody out there that's actually fact checking that.
You
right?
want the truth on something? Let's fucking break it down. Reception trailers for video games. Bullshit. They're complete bullshit. I've authorized 2, and I have probably been asked for 200. And of all of them, many, if not most, were wait for a sale or a deep, deep sale. But they took one sentence that I said out of a review.
Fun factor.
Yep. Yep. And one time I was talking about the inventory, and they're like, can we use this in our trailer? And I was all, I knew what I had scored the game. It was only 5 days later. And I was like, let me check with my team. I don't have a team. Well, I've got one person who helps me, but I was like, let me check with my team to verify that's okay. And I just never responded back, because I was like, no, it was a complete bullshit. And they wanted to put it in a reception trailer. That is bullshit. Reception trailers are the fluffer of video game content. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's all that. By the way, dude, can you imagine even sitting through a reception trailer for very long if you weren't forced to anyway? Like if I was looking at videos and it said Johnny plays live, he's going to play F chord as one, just continually, nothing else, just an F chord continually. Or you can watch a trailer about an Assassin's Creed game, accolades. I would rather watch you. What does an accolades trailer do? Nothing. There is no footage there. There's nothing there that gives you anything. So yeah. It's bullshit, man. It's bullshit. Like every movie that's the movie of the year. Yeah, well, look at Batman, man. Remember Batman when they were like a Game of the Year version? We were like, Game of the Year from who?
Yep.
From who? But they can say Game of the Year. They can. And by the way, I'm not saying I wouldn't. I will allow somebody to use something I say if it's good and truthful. But I got to admit, there'll be times where I'm like, that's not good and truthful, man. You're not being.
Yeah.
And by the way, I should point out, rarely is it the company. That's usually PR companies. What I mean by that is, won't be Ubisoft. It won't be the company. It'll be like, I'm making up a name. It'll be like Axiom Premium PR Incorporated. And they'll be like, hey, man, we saw your review.
Someone hired out
Yeah.
to create it.
Yeah. What else we got here? Any other amazing, by the way, amazing questions, guys. You guys are awesome with the questions.
Yeah, actually. What was that thing you posted that roughly 9 out of 10 game devs are already using AI? They're just not telling players. That was a Google Cloud.
Did I post
games.
that yeah. So
Yeah.
I thought I posted it just in general. But yeah, so Google pointed out something that, whether people like this or not, and this isn't calling out devs at all. It's literally what we all knew. But this is what I've been saying for the last year or so, that anytime I see anybody say we aren't, or whatever, I'm not, you're not quite sure what the real truth is, because they're just saying it out and about, right? They're just blathering it. What Google said, and what Google sort of indicated with their numbers, they have been doing these trackings at different events. And 2 years ago, 95% of all developers were using it, for sure. A year ago, it had dropped to like 50 or 45. Now, what would you think if you saw that about anything else? 90% of people are buying Trojan condoms, and then the next year, 45% are. Your thought process would be somebody has replaced that, or people are fucking bareback, right? That'd be pretty much your two options. Here's the problem with what they're doing, what they're saying, and the data that they served, which is accurate, is that you can't magically remove what you have already done for projects that take 5 years.
Yeah.
Meaning, if they were using it a year ago, unless they started and then turned it off the day after that, it's going to be in there some way, whether it be iteration or blah, blah, blah. So you're starting to see a lot of devs say, oh, no. We use it for quick iteration. You saw Larian, he stated, we're using it for like initial concept art or to give ideas. And people are like, no, you can't get an idea from AI. We know that as much as we would all like, as an artist, as somebody who writes music, you do music, we all know I've heard AI music before, and maybe there's a chord in it I like. So you still get a little bit from it. You can't pretend it's zero, because it's just not, it's not being realistic. But they basically were just indicating that magically everybody was like, oh, nope, for sure. And what Google was saying was that the other discussions they've had is that nobody wants to admit it. I think many dropped it.
Yeah.
So I do want to point that out. I think many devs are like, this is a minefield, and I would agree with them. It's a minefield. And it's a dangerous minefield, because it also, if you and I are working on a game and I was using AI to do translation because we have no money, or I was using it to fix grammar, Steam now has these little rules where if you use it for this, you can get away with it. If you use it for this, you can't. However, that indicates to me that they don't give a fuck about coders, because you can not claim it for some things that is basically coding. And when you look at coding, it's one of the major things that's been stolen by AI. And we've seen coders on YouTube saying, why is it that nobody cares about the coding? You could say it's because coding is sort of coded, and it's got a certain, for a lot of people, a certain way of looking and being done. But yeah, it's an interesting discussion, man. I thought that was, Google was just out and out saying it. Now, Google has a skin in the game too, but their numbers are accurate. Yeah. Those numbers were reported by Griffin Gaming. We covered it with Abzy. I think it was one of the last podcasts Abzy and I sat down and did on a Wednesday, where we got a couple reports from like major research groups that were like, everybody is using it. And then it dropped. And I think that drop is real, and some of it is just people taking step back and being like, it's a minefield. Like, how do you?
Yeah. Well, it's also in your analogy, it's the equivalent of the first time the survey runs, you say you bought your Trojan condoms, but then now you've moved to a very like heavily Catholic town.
Area. Yeah.
So now the next time they ask you, you're gonna be like, no, me, no, I'm not buying condoms, even though you're buying the same amount of condoms. So that's my long-winded way of saying, once again, I think there's a lack of scrutiny. We can't really check whether or not people are. We
Right.
kind of have to take people at their words, right? Like, are they using it?
Yeah.
To what extent?
I mean, even look at the number. You could even say, do you buy your condoms from Trojan in 2024? You say, yeah, 90% of the time. 2025, you say no, only about 20% of the time. Then the question becomes, are you having sex anymore? Do you still have the same Trojan because you don't have sex? There's all kinds of other caveats that come into it in the same way that games do. I mean,
yeah,
it's definitely and it will only get worse as it gets better, and we're starting to see it getting really good. And it's a force multiplier for people that we all claim to support, which is like an indie, where you were already on the podcast where we saw it flip overnight, where it was like, oh my God, This is a force multiplier. I can get so much done. This is going to help me. I'm going to blah, 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 to how dare you. And it feels like it was overnight. It was pretty quick, where it was like, and I think it was pretty quick because even my AI generated reviews, nobody was mad. They thought they were hilarious. And I did too. But the moment they got a little too real, I remember, I think the last one I posted, I got like 5. How dare you use? And I'm like, dude, seriously?
Yeah.
Do you think a reviewer is going to release? This sounds like it's just jargon. It's just funny because what's on the screen or what you've played doesn't correlate with what the AI is saying. That's the funny part of it. And people were mad because they legitimately weren't thinking through it, going like, this must be fake. No, in real life, this
they
must
didn't
be
think
the
it
real
was
review.
a parody.
Yeah.
At that point, started to get too good.
I just dropped it. I was like, yeah, I get it. I mean, admittedly, it was some of the most fun I ever had because it cracked me up too, because I just never knew what it was going to say. But it's too smart now. It's way too smart.
Yeah.
Back then, man, you'd feed it footage and it'd be like, and you'd be, oh, dude, this is hilarious, man. What it's saying would be just that tangible sense of like seeing the other side almost. You'd be like, whoa, this is pretty profound. And then it'd be like spiders many times because there was it couldn't do long context. I remember Absy, when he was editing them, he was like, dude, I've never laughed this hard in my life. Like, this thing is talking normally for like 2 sentences. And then it's like, do you know what's scary about spiders? Girls are afraid of spiders. And you're like, what is this thing talking about?
Yeah,
it sounds like
interspersing
a 7-year-old.
these
so
weird things.
Let's see.
Now would
go
be
ahead.
just too much.
Yeah.
Now just kind of, it would look like too correct.
It looked too real.
Almost.
It looks like you'd almost have to go grab old ChatGPT, but that wouldn't be as fun.
Yeah.
Dan Anderson says AI is simply cool as fuck when used properly to create games. Even some of the AI films on YouTube. Mm-hmm. It's not artificial intelligence either. Basically, it's a very complicated flowchart, just like humans, by the way. Otherwise, magicians and magic wouldn't work. Humans are, we like to pride ourselves on all this shit, and you look at a human's decision matrix and you're like, damn, okay. We're barely.
We got all these failure points.
Failure points right after the other. We have no context. How many times have you watched like the old joke? If your friend jumps off a bridge, would you? Well, my context is only 248 characters. I'm sorry. Yes, I would. But they died. And you're like, can't remember. I'm doing it too. You're like, yeah, humans pretty fucking stupid. What else we got for news? How long have we been going?
We are almost at our usual 3 hours.
Almost at 3 hours.
15 minutes off.
Dan says, I want steak. So do I. Dude, let's talk about food for a second.
Yeah.
I've become addicted to these super spicy, cheap as shit chicken wings that come in a bag, and you there's a type you can cook or a type you can heat up in a air fryer.
Yeah.
And I did it again, man. Oops, I did, but I did. I got one tracked again, which happened with the like years ago. It happened with the Uncrustables, where when I like something, I don't like to think about food. I just like it. I eat for effect. It's like, am I hungry? Yes, no, and then I move on.
That's your food now.
That's my food now. Yeah. So now the fridge is filled with 9 sacks of this shit.
Oh my God.
Nothing else. There's nothing in the
fridge. What's your wife's reaction when she opens the fridge and she sees?
She knows. She knows. Like, she'll go, do you want pepperoni? And if I want pepperoni, it usually means I'm in a steak mood, and that'll be for a certain amount of time. She'll know that. But now she just buys them. And then at some point I'll be like, well, I'm done with those forever. So what's the next thing? I don't know what it is, man. But it's they're good too. Dude, they're so good. They're hot to the point of being like, woo. Except I got one that was, you know how the bottom of a milkshake is the best milkshake? Like, if you could make milkshakes that was just the bottom of a milkshake, you'd be a fucking billionaire. If you could do Dairy Queen Blizzards that was called bottom of the blizzard, and it was a fucking full blizzard that tasted like the bottom of a blizzard, dude, you'd be a billionaire. But you can't.
Yeah.
But I got these chicken wings that somehow the spice, all the bags of other spices, somehow had filtered to this bag. And it was the hottest fucking experience I had in my life. And I forced myself, because that's not going to stop me. And man, I was sick to my stomach for so long, but the bottom of I guess all the spices had filled into this bag, and it was at least 3 times hotter than any of the other bags. And the other bags they're there, for a while you'll eat one, wing and leave it for a second. Yeah. What have you been eating lately? Has there been any like thing that's been?
So I've been, I started making some meal preps.
Mm-hmm.
So basically big pan, something that the core of the meal is every time like some type of lean meat. It's going to be like either maybe some minced beef, or it could be like some chicken, and I kind of like shred it up and stuff, and then combine that with some veggies, some pasta, and some sauce. And then that kind of goes into like 3 boxes, and I got that ready to go for a few days.
So you're doing sort of what I do.
Been great.
In a way.
Yeah, I like to have stuff ready that I know it's like, I'm going to enjoy. It's going to kind of get the job done. And it's been great, because sometimes you're just tired, and it's awesome to have it ready to go.
Yeah, sometimes the cooking is great, or I mean, not as much for me, but I do know that like a lot of people like that. But for some reason, there's something awesome about having, it's almost like getting food ordered in, where you just don't, yes, you're not in that mood.
And there is something cool about, I'm not like the biggest into cooking, although I cook quite a bit for myself, but I find it hard to be consistent. If I had to like cook literally every day for every meal, I struggle to stay consistent. Same. Right?
Yeah.
So this is why the meal prep is nice, because I can have fun cooking a massive amount, like, because I'm a bachelor, so I'm cooking for one. Normally my portions wouldn't be that big, right? But it's fun to be able to do like this massive cook that looks preposterous. It's just like, a bunch of beef on the pan. Yeah. And it's like, just like sauce, blah, blah. And it's this massive thing, but it just turns into like 4 meals for later, It's great.
Dude, so prior to, I would say about 10 years ago, especially when doing really heavy lifting and teaching 2 classes versus 1 and all this stuff, I was eating a shit ton, like an incredible amount of food. There was always one meal. I've always been more of a fan of fasting, not because it's even on purpose, just not wanting to cook it. And I remember one time making a meal and looking at it and eating it, and then realizing like what a true serving size is versus what I was eating. Now, admittedly,
what people say, like, serves 4.
Dude,
yeah, bullshit.
Yes, dude, bullshit. You'd be like, 4 what's, man? Because Oompa Loompas would be hungry after that, let alone a guy who's like working out all the time teaching class. Yeah, man, I remember this one time making this thing, and I had a Tupperware dish, and it was big, and it was filled and overflowing. And I'm just sitting there chawing it, getting ready to do something. It was meat. Like, I love chicken. This was not chicken. This was like probably pretty high fat burger with green peppers, onions, and a couple other things. That's sort of my easy medley. And then like some Parmesan cheese if I don't want to melt cheese in it. And that actually works quite well. Put some seasoning on it. You just eat it. You have energy all day, or for whenever you eat it. But I remember eating that, and there was a commercial that came on, and it showed a portion size for somebody. And I don't remember what the commercial was, but I realized, oh my God, like, holy shit, my colon must be like, dude, seriously, we weren't made for this, man. Like, no wonder we're getting butt cancer.
What is going on?
Yeah, that's 2 pounds of raw meat. Like, what the or one of my friends bought 99-cent burgers recently and brought them over. And 99
Any good?
Oh yeah, they were fine. They were like a Wendy's or they were one of the normal makers of like the cheaper burgers, but they brought them over, and what surprised me was technically that burger is about 1.5 ounces larger than the old 1970s serving size, whatever. And I looked at this thing and it looked like a dime. Well, that's not a dime. There you go. Dimes like
It's
that.
like
I just said it looks like a dime.
Red showed us the Japanese burgers.
Yeah,
It was like,
yeah. It was like a White
tiny.
Castle kind of thing. And I was looking at it going like, what the Now, for 99 cents, it was actually a good deal. They tasted really good. But I remember looking at it going like, wow, my brain sees a triple Baconator as a serving size. Yeah.
portion.
If I was going to eat those anymore. I haven't had
serving.
a burger in fucking ages. Yeah. The mixture, it's too messy, man. I usually smash a burger down if I eat it anyway. I'll put like either with my hand or a breadboard, smash that thing down to like this big. Because I have a beard.
Well, you like
messy.
the density? You just want it
it's just
packed.
easier to eat. I do have a not phobia, but I've got some kind of, it triggers me if food is messy, especially
you
burger.
don't want the big messy ones?
No, like you see
like
Carl's Jr.
the
and I just want to punch
in...
the model. They'll show like, not Celine Dion, but I'm going to say she's not even a model, but you see me like, I love you. She bites into a Carl's. I just want to punch her. It's so gross. And they'll be like purposely dripping it. And it makes me physically angry when I see it. Like, I'm like, what? That's so nasty. I don't like that. So usually I'll try to fucking like hammer it down or something like that. So somebody will come over and I'll buy a burger, leave it in the wrapper, and then be like, just so it's more edible and doesn't, especially with a beard, it's just messier, I was telling my wife one day too, I'm like, was I always this messy? Because like I'll drink some eggnog and I'll get some in my beard and I'll be like, what the fuck's going on? There's times where like I literally will be pouring it from a good inch above. This all looks very suggestive, but like an inch above my mouth, and there'll be no drip, and then I'll be talking and she'll be like, and I'll be all, what the fuck? How did that even?
How?
Dude, I swear to God, I've been
Physically.
like, I must have a hole here because I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Greasy hands
like a
are
magnet.
the worst. Yeah, greasy hands are gross. I read the 1/3 pounder didn't sell in America as they thought a 1/4 pounder was bigger. Oh, I wouldn't doubt that. Yeah.
Mm. But you know what's magical? That I was, for quite some time, I was eating too little because I'm pretty tall and I'm trying to bunch up, like
Get some
bulk
muscle.
up a little bit, or just like get a bit more mass, right? And I was like, man, I'm working out, but I'm not really gaining much. And I figured, dude, I'm just eating very little.
Yeah.
That's why I started with the meal preps and stuff to kind of make sure I'm getting, and it feels incredible, man, to just have that much more energy because your body gets used to operating with like very little. And that's why you're tired very often, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly, whoa, holy moly, I got all this like nutrients to work with. It's like your body kind of initially doesn't know what to do with them, but then like adapts, and now you have more energy. You're able to do more stuff. So that's
a lot of times when I am tired, I will realize I've forgotten to eat for a day or so.
Forgot to eat, or
a couple days ago, I forgot to eat during the day, and it was like on a Wednesday or whatever, and I hadn't eaten since Monday. Because I just was busy on Tuesday. Like, I'll eat if I get a chance, and I must have missed a meal. I was talking to you guys. I don't know. And it happened. And I was like, man, I feel real low, like really almost fatigued, almost like a little bit of a nap, which I don't take naps, but I was like, what the hell's going on? And then counted back and was like, oh yeah, I drank water, drank pop.
Are you anti-naps?
I'm really I almost never am able to take a nap because the restless leg starts. And if I do, I'm really unfortunate to be around after a nap.
Straight away you get it? Even like with a short power nap?
Even laying down. If you're the way, so you can't take you shouldn't take melatonin with restless leg because melatonin causes it. So when melatonin starts to get released, that's when restless leg starts. So the problem with restless leg is you can be laying in bed with a tablet listening, no restless leg. You can have light down, reading, no restless leg. You can be talking to a spouse, no restless leg. I've had it bad enough to where I get it, but that's 90% of the time. But the moment you turn anything off and the lights dim, once melatonin gets released, restless leg starts. So it's ridiculous. So what I do is I work as hard as possible before bed. And then that way, when I lay down, it'll be bad. Oh, by the way, great show. Mayor, what's her name? Who didn't die on the Titanic? What the fuck's her name? Kate Winslet?
Yep.
She's in a new TV show, dude. And I'm telling you, I'm gonna tell you about it. And you're gonna be like, this sounds like the worst show in the world. Why would I watch it? And I agree. And yet it is. We're literally planning on watching it. It's called Mayor of Easttown. So she's a small town, what do you call it? Small town constable, sheriff, whatever. And we randomly were looking for shows, and I found it, and it's a sister show of another show, which I don't remember off the top of my head. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try this show. One of the best shows I've seen, man. Not a lot happens for the first 2 or 3 episodes. It's all about world building. And it's rough, dude. And it's not about the stuff you would think I would like. It's like family life, wife and a husband, divorce. In fact, it's like a drama with almost nothing going on at first, but you can tell stuff's being set up. It's just there's a lot of world building in it. And we watched 5 episodes last night. It was like 2:30 in the morning. And I was like, wow. Yeah, I told my wife, I'm like, you have to go to work. I have to go to work. I'm totally, you know me, I'll stay up all night. We'll watch this. Do you want to watch it? She's not a stay-upper. She's like, I cannot wait. Yeah, let's just watch another episode. I don't know how to describe to you how magnetic the show is and how terrible it is to describe to somebody, because it is not suggestible. But it is fucking so good. And yet one of the characters has restless leg. And I knew she had restless leg. This is how good the show is. It doesn't say it. She's doing things.
It just shows it.
Bro, I saw her rub her leg. I saw her do something. And I was watching it with my wife. And I was like, I think they're trying to indicate she's got restless leg syndrome, because everything she's doing. And by the way, without spoiling it, she gets up to have a sneak meal, and it's the exact kind of meal you would have, because your brain will cause you to eat weird things to see if like you're missing a nutrient. If you do have restless leg, it'll cause like weird little, I guess you'd call them like hunger pains for very odd foods. And she had it. And I remember going like, oh my God, and then she finally, somebody asked her, and she's like, no, my legs are acting up tonight. And I was like, oh dude, that's such good storytelling. Damn. That's how the entire show is. So weird segue into a show I just happened to be watching. But if you get a chance, watch this. But if you don't like it, don't blame me, because it is so weird and so good and so mysterious. I don't even know what's happening. Dude, I had to have a piece of paper where I wrote people's names down, because it's the first show I've ever seen where everybody knows everybody. Imagine The Town. Did you ever see that with Ben Affleck? And yep. Okay. Imagine The Town, but then multiply the people who have a part in the story by like 15. It's so weird, man. And even one of the characters in the show goes
like Twin Peaks.
No,
where
it's
everybody
not that
knows
kind
each
of,
other.
But it is that, yeah. And even one of the characters in the show, after the 40th or 50th time, goes, "Do you fucking know everybody in this town?" And she's like, "Yeah, I do." And it's like that, dude. It's a good show, but I'm not telling you to watch it. If it's on,
Putting
happen
it
to
on
see
my list.
It-
They recently released
It's so
HBO
good.
Max here, so now we have access to all these shows.
Oh. So
We
they
didn't have HBO before.
No shit. Just not at all?
It all came through different subscriptions,
yeah.
and not all of it. So we kind of only got some of it.
Ranger says something bad is going to happen on Netflix is also good. Yeah. I got that on my list as well. But it looks like other people have been watching this. So, okay, yeah, great show. All right, cool. So other people have been liking it. Yeah, weird show though, Johnny. I'm telling you, like I'm not going to be like it's Fringe. It's not. But fuck, I just don't think I've ever been that. I mean, I'm legitimate. My wife literally left, and she goes, "I'll see you tonight for our favorite show." And she walked out, and I was like, "What?" Like, is she hinting like, is that a little Bangtown? And
that's like, innuendo now?
Dude, I didn't know. I was like, what is she even talking about? And then I realized, I'm like, are you talking about the... And it's cool that somebody like that's excited because I rewatch stuff and she's like, okay, this is going to be another night of Eureka. Or another night of fucking some ass show she's seen 20 times. So that
ass show.
That show is crazy authentic from Philly and local, and it's super good. Yeah, I heard that. Nice. Oh, season 2 is coming. Yeah. Okay, don't say anymore. Because I don't even know what's going. Oh, dude, and there's an angle. Yeah. Anyway, it's a good show. I'm done. Are you watching? Have you been watching anything?
I've been watching The Boys.
Oh,
the Daredevil new season has been quite good.
Awesome.
And I'm rewatching The Mentalist as well.
Oh, you're talking about big movie model hair guy? The blonde guy?
Yes, hair guy.
Dude, hair guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. Yeah.
The Mentalist and Lie to Me were two that I just like those kind of characters.
From that era.
Yeah, from
Great
that era.
Shows.
Yeah, they definitely are.
And I like the actress that's like the boss from that guy. And she did Prison Break and some.
Right? Isn't she in both? Isn't she in Mentalist and True Lies? You're talking about she's got the piercing eyes. Dude, I think she's in both.
No, wait. Maybe she.
Wait a minute.
Maybe a
the
smaller
Mentalist
part.
Is. Hang on. There's two shows this chick is in.
She was
you're talking about
the
Robin
girlfriend.
Tunney. You're talking about Robin Tunney.
Yeah. She was like the girlfriend of the prison guy, Prison Break guy.
Yeah, she was also big in the witchcraft movie called The Craft. That was like her.
Oh yeah.
Her claim. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it was a private school with private school uniforms and chicks casting spells. And I was like, this is my type of show.
Damn.
There were some hotties in The Craft, man. The Craft was Neve Campbell from Scream, Robin Tunney, the crazy witch chick in real life. She's got the super like glassy eyes, super emo looking chick. I can't remember her name. She owns a Wicca store in New York now. She stopped acting. And then I don't know where the black actress, she was really good too. I don't know if she's done anything since then. But yeah. I like witchcraft movies sometimes. They can be sort of good. If they're done well. Yeah. A little bit of Wicca. There's going to be a couple coming. This Netflix has got a couple like darker show. I don't know if you'd call them horror, but sort of like the supernatural, but darker kind of stuff. I'm into those. What do you think of The Boys, man? Yeah. You digging it?
Yeah, I'm liking this season quite a lot more, I think, than the last one.
I've heard
and
that.
All I want is for Hugh to. I'll try not to spoil anything. I'm just saying. All I want is for Huey to have a happy ending. I don't give a shit about anyone else. Whatever happens, I'm cool with it.
Dodger says Paradise is not a terrible show. Come on, man. That's rude. Paradise is amazing.
Yeah.
I would agree with you. I heard a lot of people saying, sorry, swallowed spit. I heard a lot of people saying that this last season wasn't very good, but the one currently now is. And then I think yesterday they announced that Hugh did marry his co-star. So that's cool. Happy for them.
Yes. Yeah, true.
Odd couple. I was not expecting, I don't know what it is about the chick. I think she looks much older, not in a bad way, but just Huey looks younger for some reason than I
Yeah,
expect.
he just looks very young.
Mm-hmm. And when
Very
I found out
boyish,
they were
but-
dating, I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then, I think, didn't
Yeah.
they, to Australia, I think they went and got married. I want to see it really bad. And I would like for him to have a good, he is sort of a piece of shit, though. Like, I don't know, man. Do you think he's going to get, without spoiling anything, do you think he's going to get out unscathed? Because I feel like The Boys is really good at turning everybody into a piece of shit really fast.
Into a piece, yeah.
And
But I
he's
think,
done some
but that's
piece of
why
shit
I think
stuff.
he's the one redeemable. I'm still on his side, you know.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
I'm
know?
still rooting for him.
Do you know what dude? I'm rewatching Expanse because I played. Oh, by the way, I did a preview for the Expanse. If you guys get a chance, go check it out. It's Mass Effect 2.5 and almost nothing about the Expanse, but whatever. Previewed it. It was fun to play.
Yeah, didn't expect cover shooting to excite me, but looked promising.
With the Expanse TV show, I always forget that Holden is like, there is no worse captain ever in fiction. Like that dude would choke on a bone from a boneless chicken tender if he could. He's quite literally the turkey of fucking captains. And so once I mentioned it in Discord, it became this whole thing to track this. Dude,
He's a terrible captain.
it's not even terrible. It doesn't even go to terrible. He legitimately never ever makes the right decision. Like, I'm actually surprised because I was.
Yeah, it's comically bad.
He was
Bad
the
decisions.
one time I said, "Oh, he saved a guy." The next episode, they admit that it was all a plan, not him, but the bad guys admit that it was all staged, and I was just like, "This fucking dude is the worst captain in the universe." Like, I'm telling you, even Amos. This is season. Gates open up season 3, 4, whatever later on.
Yeah.
Somebody says, like, that sounds like a terrible plan or whatever. And even Amos, just right to his face, is like, that's par for the course, and says something like, nothing ever works
that's
for us.
how we roll.
And I'm like,
Yeah,
dude, that guy, I would quite literally leap out an airlock versus trusting that piece of shit. He is the worst captain I've ever seen. But show's good. I like it anyway. Like, the rewatch has been fun.
He definitely grows on you, and you get that. Maybe not for you.
No.
Eventually,
I
he
was
grew on
agreeing
me.
with you.
I admit it.
Yeah. Dude.
Yeah. I think he embraces that. Like, yeah, I fuck up a lot. That's kind of,
Dude. And many times it is not the typical CW bullshit where they say you can't tell this amazing secret that would end the season because everything would be fixed if you just admitted blank. They almost never do that, which is great. But we're in this season, and even the Middle Eastern lady who I love so much with the raspy voice, she's like, somehow Holden got onto this other planet and he's fucking it up again. And I was like, thank you. Because, dude, at the very start of that show, she's backing him up. And even she sends him to this place. And she's like, could you please, for the love of God, not fuck this up too? And he goes there, and it's the very next episode. She's yelling, and she's into the mic. And I love her because she cusses a lot. That chick she's saucy, which is why I love her. Because she looks like somebody's grandmother, saucy as fuck. And she's like, Holden, this is, whatever her name is, we'll call her Princess Amadelia because I don't remember. But she's like, this is Princess Amadelia, whatever. If you could get the fuck onto this phone and answer me, that would be fucking appreciated. And she like throws it, and I'm like,
that'd
dude.
be fucking great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I was like, that is exactly what it would be like trying to deal with somebody like that who is fucking so clueless to everything going on around him, but owns the ship.
Yeah.
That is powerful in that, like.
She's just uniquely crafted. I don't know, as a human, she's been crafted for that.
Yeah, she's been crafted to be his leader or to be the person who like interjects. Yeah, dude, it's fucking so fun.
Great.
It's so fun to see somebody that frustrated because I've worked at places where you're like, could you please?
She's done. Like, she's
could you
had
please
it with this
not
shit.
take success out of the jaws of this fucking monster and throw it on the ground? Like, could you please? We've set you up
And
perfectly.
she's so done with everything. Like, someone comes to her with like some annoyance, and she's like, for fuck's sake.
Dude, this one lady's trying to help her run for president. She's like, I've never had to run before because everybody's liked me. It's the first time where I'm not liked, so I appreciate it and I'm looking forward to it. And it cuts. And the very next scene, somebody says something. She's like, would you just shut the fuck up? And I'm like, I love her. She's so, oh man, it's so fun to watch. It's so, she makes that, dude. She makes every movie I've ever seen her in. And she was in, there we go, Angelou, or Christian Avasarala. Thank you. Yeah. Dude, she's awesome.
Avasarala.
Yeah, dude, she's awesome. I did realize I had forgotten they changed her husband. The actor left. And so another guy shows up and is making eyes at her and like, you know, he's like, hey, rub-a-dub-dub. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, man? She's married. And then I realized like in the third episode, I'm on, wait, that little short guy got replaced. But yeah, man, it's fun. It's a fun rewatch. It does lose itself, though. I've not forgotten because I pick up on this every rewatch, but it really does get meandering when they go to a certain place.
Where are we going, man?
The first two seasons, I think, are really tight. And then it's sort of it starts introducing bad guys that you're like, who the fuck? You're like, who is this guy?
Yeah, and whole arcs where you're wondering, like, Amos is on Earth, like doing stuff. It's just it's cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, but
and it's cool because do you know how it pays off? He suplexes a superhuman. Do you remember that? Yeah, in that last episode where he's like, and he grabs him, and you're like, dude, where in the world did that get pulled out of? Also, Thomas Jane, easily the best actor in that show by a huge amount. When he comes back and he's talking, and like. I mean, it's an old show. It's an old show. So I'm just going but when he's like, he's talking about the entity and he's like, they send out a signal every 126 seconds and they don't get one. So they kill the investigator and then they remake him and they kill him and remake him. And you realize he's talking about himself and he's going nuts because he knows he's going to die if he doesn't figure it out. And then he's talking to him. They go to the planet, which is weird. They keep filming at a fire outside of his mom and dad's house. I don't know if they ran out of money. But there's like 85 scenes that happen. Even his mom shows up at this campfire instead of in her home from the first season. But she shows up and he's talking and he's like, I wonder what the rain would taste like. We got to go. We got to go. We got to crack the case. You know, I wish the moon was, we got to crack the, and you're like, oh man, crack the case. It's sad because like you realize he's sharded out memories of this guy that have been like compacted back from what it's almost like they read a bad hard drive. And they've got him. And then the entire time Holden is like trying to figure out if he's there. Dude, that's fucking Thomas Jane nailed that.
Because we don't know if he's having a conscious experience.
Exactly. You have no
and he's
clue.
Just messed up mentally. Or if it's
just dude,
noise.
It's so well. Yeah, she was in very cool. She was in Mirage and Valhalla. Yeah, that lady is I have something for that kind of voice though, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Instantly recognizable.
You think Huey and his new wife look like an age difference? If that shit came up to me and was like, Jeremy, I want a tongue kiss, I'd be like, maybe.
You know, it strikes me that like some people just look not old, but mature.
Yeah.
Like, for example, let me give you an example, okay? Did you ever watch Smallville?
A little bit.
Earlier in life? Yeah. Do you remember Lex Luthor's dad? He was a Lionel Luthor guy with the long hair. I think it was John
Linneman?
Glover?
Not Linneman. That's from Digital Foundry. That's John. Let me look at this.
So check him out from like Smallville. Just look like... Yep. You remember him, right? Yes. With the long hair?
Yeah.
So that guy... So he was the dad, and he looked mature, right?
Yeah.
But I am now as old as he was, or close to. I'm 37. I think he was in like early 40s.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm close to as old as he was then.
Yeah.
But holy fuck, he is this archetype of like a mature guy with the hair. Like obviously he's got the hair going for him, guys.
Yeah, but you have a much smoother face, much more cherubish looks than he does.
It's just
even if you had hair, you would.
I can't look that even probably 20 years from now. Right. I won't look. Even Clark Kent's dad in Smallville
Mhm.
as well. He has that look of like the
Clark
Yeah,
Kent's
just
is
mature
from
guy.
Dukes of Hazzard, right? Isn't that John? What's his name from Dukes of Hazzard? The blonde.
I think
I'm
so.
pretty
Yeah,
sure that's
blonde guy.
Yeah. Dude, I
Yeah.
just saw a YouTube short yesterday. It was Dawn. Maybe it was Dawn Wrinkles, but it was somebody and Johnny Carson, and they were saying they were 47. And I was like, times 2? Because there's no chance you guys are only 47 looking like that. And it
Yeah,
really is.
damn.
But I think some of it's also smoking. I really do think that, like, when you see how prevalent smoking was and, you know,
Yeah.
like what it does to your actual face. Because if you think about it, your face being leather, technically, except it's still alive, but you look at any saddle or any piece of leather that's left out in the sun, it does wrinkle, get weathered. Like you say, my mom owns horses, and you see that on saddles that are used on trail rides all the time, especially in hot environments. You'll see that weathering. It feels like that's what you're seeing, is somebody baking their face, and it ages your face. I mean, it really does. I think a lot of those people looked like that because, and John, Clark Kent's dad, he smoked. So I'm just wondering if a lot of it's that. And boy,
That could be just a more like weathered look to their, you know?
Yep. Yeah, because like wrinkles are something that luckily so far I haven't really had wrinkles. I get bags, or I get like the inset when I'm tired.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm lucky with that. But it's like I have somebody
Yeah,
who's my
I get a
age
bit as
who
well.
has crow's feet and is like older looking. And I realized one day, I'm like, oh shit, he smoked for like 25 years. And then I have another friend,
There you go.
Andy, I'll just say it out loud, Vanselwow in our Discord. That dude could wear a Letterman jacket at 48 now. I think he's 48, 47. I'm telling you right now, he is 90210. What's his name? Luke Perry. He's like Luke Perry. He fucking does not look. He looks one half, if not less than that in age. It doesn't make any sense. You'll see him and you'll be like, what the fuck is going on? Like, that guy has not aged. Super jet black hair, not a single gray hair. Perfectly spiky, well-coiffed hair. You know, always in shape. And the face of a boy, like on a 45-year-old man. It's just, it makes me mad. It, like, I don't know if they rub themselves down with, like, you know, baby placenta or something. I got to find out how he's doing it.
It does make me mad too.
It does. It does. Well, you, dude,
I was
you
just-
look way, I mean, you don't look, I mean, you probably have a -10 on your age multiplier.
You think so?
You're pretty lucky in that. Yeah. I mean,
I'll take that.
well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially when you look at, I mean, other people, well, maybe not your age, because I think, again, it is, you don't have any bad habit. You didn't smoke, right?
No.
Yeah,
never.
dude, I think, I mean, just straight up,
drugs or
smoking or drugs or anything, me neither. I mean, so it's like, other than like gray in the beard and stuff like that kind of stuff, it doesn't
like
affect your skin.
Clean
as much.
living,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, as I down a bunch of Whoppers, shit, clean living. I do think also
Clean living.
you'll definitely see people working out, and I do feel like caloric outtake and working out does age you more. Because I have met people who have what I call tube body, where they don't have any muscular, they look in shape, but they don't have any tone. And usually those people look really good in their face. Like, there's something about it. And then I see a lot of my friends who work out, even if they're 20 years younger, if they work out very heavily, I think it's just calories, free radicals. You know, like it just affects you. So it also depends on your workout levels. And some people say, oh, somebody who works out looks young. I think there's genetics, obviously, too. You know, depends on.
You know who pisses me off? Jensen Ackles.
Yeah.
He looks too fucking good and like too fucking talented at stuff.
I don't get it, man.
He's 48 years old, man.
He's 48, yeah. Dude, it's not only that. You'll see like people that you've seen in a show for a long time, and they'll show up to do, you know, like, I don't know, a get-together at a Comic-Con or something. And he'd be like, what? Nathan Fillion is that way. Now, Nathan Fillion's been heavy, and Nathan's definitely got, but you look at him and you're like, well, wait a minute, what the fuck is going on? And it's not just hair, because there'll be times where he's wearing a hat or whatever, and you still be like, it's the face. That you just luckily enough have got like just the right genetics. By the way, do you want to know a mind fuck of all mind fucks? I did a rewatch of X-Files, and Bosch, Titus Wolliver, the main actor, shows up with hair. It's already gray. It's already gray. I will admit that. But it's a full head of hair. And
instantly gray.
Yeah, and he's got the porn stash, right? So like just I can't even do it. I don't have enough hands. But just the stash, right? And they're in the woods and there's these things killing people. And he's like some environmentalist. And he shows up and it probably took us 3 or 4 minutes to realize it was for sure. His voice is pretty noticeable. But it was young enough and old enough and not the greatest audio that I was like, blah, blah, blah. That's Bosch. What the fuck? It's so crazy, man. It's so crazy. He's such a different looking guy when he's got like, it wasn't even the hair. It's just different. You got to see him. It's actually fun to see. I love seeing those shows. I think it was you telling me this. I think it was you that when you watch those older, maybe it wasn't, but when you watch the older shows, you sort of can see all the big stars from now. If they're in a like if they're in a TV show, like you watch Fringe, you'd be like, all those people are the current like popular actors or whatever. You see like a lot of times.
I'm rewatching The Mentalist. 3 episodes in a row, there is someone who is a suspect or a bad guy, and they are like a prominent person in a current show. But that was their starting days, you know. That's how they got in. They did the one pilot or the one episode in those shows.
Or you're fucking Tudyk from Resident Alien. You're always the pedophile.
Yeah,
that guy,
and then it's funny because you know they're the bad guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For
you know they are the bad.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It ruins old shows.
You know,
it ruins old shows.
Yeah.
Because you'll be like, there's no way he's just going to be here for a second, so he's for sure somebody.
For sure, yeah.
And then if he's even slightly, possibly the bad guy, he's for sure the bad guy. You notice it right away,
for
dude.
sure. Yeah,
it happens every time. I'll be watching. It doesn't matter. It'll be a Fringe or Eureka. It'll be back to even an X-Files.
Yeah.
You'll start to see. Like, you can see all these guys starting to show up and you'll be like, wow, that is a full, because B is where a lot of those guys started, especially on TV shows. You'll see this litany and be like, holy fuck, that's half of Hollywood right now, you know, who's just like Alan Richards, the guy from Reacher. Dude, he's in like a ton of like little moments in other shows. You'd be like, that's Alan Reacher. What the, I mean, he's always sort of big. Not now, because, you know, probably not roids back then, but like you see him big and you'd be like, holy shit, that's him.
Wait. No. Are you saying Alan is not natty?
Don't do it to me. Don't do it to me. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget it. What was The Rock, right? You're like,
it was The Rock.
Do you think The Rock is
and
natty?
I was genuinely asking if he was natty.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you know what? I appreciate the fucking innocence, man, because I'm absolutely sure I did not know Stallone or Drago. What's his?
Jason Momoa?
No. The guy who played Drago in fucking Rocky IV. Anyway, or any of those guys. I don't think I knew they were on like true roids until, you know, I was probably in my 20s. Even like Stallone, people can get big, but they're cut to the point to where you realize that's a chemical that's letting them cut like that. And still, you were talking about needing to eat. You can't really starve and look like that for a long period of time. You could for like a Hugh Jackman, you know, to get ready for a shirtless scene. I'm not saying he's natural. I'm saying you could cut for 3 days, but after a while you'll eat up your muscles.
Wait, you're saying Hugh Jackman is also not natty?
Dude, Hugh Jackman showed up. Here's how you know somebody's not natty. When they show up in the first one, Hugh Jackman looks like a very in shape guy.
It's so wild.
But look at number 2. And then look at 3.
Yeah.
It's not even the same human. It's imagine taking Hugh Jackman's head and just artificially turning the physique slider up in a video game.
It almost looks like AI.
It does.
It
does. In that first movie, he's in good shape. He's got no shirt, but he's not vascular. Vascular means that
it's just like a lean dude.
He's a lean,
and now he's got veins on his veins.
He's got veins on veins on veins. His eyeballs are like gack, gack, and they've got veins on them. I'm telling you, man. The first time I saw him take his shirt off, I think it was in he's killing Kelly Who, or is that the one? I think it's that when he comes out of the water and he's like, "Rah!" I was all, what the fuck? Like, no way. And then Van Helsing. He's turning into a werewolf, and I think he's holding Kate Beckinsale for a second. He's screaming, and he's just like, "Ah!" And I'm all, dude, I'm sorry, man. Nobody's looking like that day one. Like, it's insane. It's insane how, which, by the way, I'm fully behind. You do whatever you know. I'm actually more towards doing that than like sitting on your ass doing nothing. If somebody wants to get in shape,
and responsible use. Those guys, they're not
20 anymore either.
Some terrible.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they're going to a doctor, and that's kind of like dialed in,
controlled risks.
Can you imagine? You catch Hugh Jackman on like a TMZ buying some cheap Decadiana ball from a GNC. That's not going to happen, but that would be hilarious if they're like, Hugh Jackman caught buying, fucking Decadiana ball from a random person at a GNC, just buying white questionable capsules. No, those guys are like, specialized doctors.
Yeah.
Did that dog shit? No, he just farted. Anyway. Do we have anything else before we wrap it up? Wow. Tom Cruise is 63. Yeah, Tom Cruise is
damn. Yeah.
He's cruising. Bad pun intended. I'm jealous of fuck. Tom Cruise is looking older though. He's definitely got the you see it, saw it in 3, you see it in 4, you see it a little bit starting to get a little older. Which by the way, no issue if he's
still looks great, I mean, he's aging great. The other thing is he hasn't really done a ton of, I don't know if it's Botox
or
of all this.
It's not as noticeable. He probably
at least not noticeable.
Yeah. Do you know what's weird?
Because a lot of actresses and actors do it.
Yeah. Or they go in and do too much.
Like a huge amount.
I have a feeling what you're seeing is somebody who's been doing it way longer than most, but is doing a very small amount to keep things as status quo as possible.
More subtle.
Yeah, there's a YouTube short where a plastic surgeon was being asked, and he was like, the smartest people, your mom, doesn't have to be a movie star, are the people who, if they're gonna do anything, they don't do everything. They literally just little tiny, if you want to, it's almost like dieting. You don't want to starve yourself completely. Sure. You just slowly whittle down, your age.
Yeah.
By
and
just
he does
doing small things.
Doesn't he do the blood transfusion stuff from Scientology?
Yeah, we'll wrap this up. There's some. So here's what's weird about blood transfusion. To me, I'm not a big believer that like people in the olden days knew everything. In fact, 90% of it is just a bunch of poppycock. The people be like, oh yeah, they knew this magical shit, whatever, or they knew garlic heals all things. It does heal some things, but it doesn't heal all things, right? It is weird to me, though, that for centuries, the major connection between vampires was drinking blood to attain youthfulness. And that science was a good 250 years late and has now realized that blood and youth transfusion of blood does actually work. And you're like, Now, I'm not saying, if you were living 250 years ago, you were eating humans, you were suddenly looking younger. It's just an odd circumstance that like the more you find it, the more you go, well, what the fuck? Now, we were just talking about this actually a couple of weeks ago where I was telling my wife, I was like, I think most likely it's just simply that people see blood come out of somebody, they die. So you think spirits in the blood, just like we used to think emotions were in the heart, because that's where love will hit you, or despair. It'll hit you in the heart, right? Your head doesn't go,
right.
Nah. Your heart does. So you thought the heart was the center of emotions. It makes total sense. But that is a weird connection, especially now with the studies where they're like, did you also see the study that said after 56 generation of clones, you cannot fix them? Did you see that?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So when Dolly was originally cloned, they had a lot of issues with the umbilical cord. And they've known for a long time that, like, because of the stem cells there and all this stuff, genetics goes wrong there, most likely before anything else. So they have been for years doing all these tests for cloning, and they got mice to 56 generations. And at the 56th generation, the umbilical cord gets huge and the placenta gets large, and they end up dying off.
Wow.
But if they don't, they have a ton of illnesses, and it's because that is quite there's a number that it also corresponds to, and I don't remember what that was. But at that number, the number of DNA failures you get are so high that they always come out as, even with gene expression
Right.
tests to express weaker genes to replace it, they absolutely do not replace it. And when those older mice had babies with younger mice, the younger mice had less, the baby mice had less genetic defects than two young mice. And there's studies on why that might be. It might be that the younger mouses, genetics, the strong, powerful ones, when they do have babies, that's transferred to that. But it is funny because old guys fuck a lot of young chicks. And I was like, dude, we're just proving science and fucking. But no, I just thought it was funny when I was reading. I was like, oh, that's so interesting that like, but they have tracked it. Yeah, it was like 52 gens it gets bad and 56 gens. And they were saying that that's proof.
That could be a good plot for a sci-fi.
Thank you. That's where I was going with this. That's exactly what I did in my brain for like a D&D game. The moment I read that, I was like, what about a world, a futuristic world or whatever, where a colony ship was going to take like 57, and we didn't know this because we're just finding that out now, but like 57 clone generations, which would be 50, let's say 50 years. So 2,500 years, right? Did I just do my math right? I did. 2,500 years is when this colony ship's going to land somewhere. And those are like, you know, your genetic clones, because freezing, I don't think is going to work. They've tried to figure it out. I think we're, you know, unless we're like those frogs that freeze in the Amazon, most likely you're going to have to figure out another way to do it. But dude, it's such a great plot. It's such, just call the movie 57 or call it 6-7 and people think it's about nothing, but I don't want to do slang, but you could do, sorry, I should never have said that. But let's say, you could call the movie like 57, and all it's about is like the 57th generation of clones just coming out. And
Generation.
like, thank God Carrick didn't say 67. You're a little behind on the stream because unfortunately. Anyway, that'll be it for us. Do we have anything? Do we have anything amazing? What are you streaming this weekend?
That's about it. I have been streaming a mix of SnowRunner and League recently, and we do like viewer games with that. It's been a lot of fun.
Very cool. You guys will see some videos from me next week. Thank you to everybody. We got some new people who joined Patreon. Thanks to everybody who did super chats. It does help the channel, especially because I'm not putting my name on those, you know, those accolade trailers, which are big money. I'm just joking. There's no money offered that I've ever seen. Anyway, that'll be it for us. If you guys got this far, hashtag 67. No, hashtag 57. You got this far.
57.
Not 57. 57, not 67. Hashtag, somebody's going to do 67. Right? People are already thinking before I got there. Anyway, that'll be it for us. Hope you guys all don't die. Peace out.
Bye-bye.
That was fun. That was awesome.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to get going and feed these guys, but that was